Anderson Julio, pass Tarbell, empty net. Anderson Julio!
With a 3-1 win at home against USL League One side AV Alta 2 weeks ago, FC Dallas secured their spot in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup round of 16. The difficulty increases tonight as the Toros are on the road, taking on MLS Eastern Conference side New York Red Bulls. The Red Bulls are in their place tonight with a 4-1 win over USL Championship side Colorado Switchbacks on the road. A place in July's quarterfinals is on the line tonight as Dallas looks to leave Harrison, New Jersey one step closer to a trophy. Along the lines of the FC Dallas Radio Network, it is the FC Dallas pregame show, the U.S. Open Cup edition, but it's still presented by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. We've got about 25 minutes until kickoff from Sports Illustrated Stadium. So let's go ahead and bring you tonight's starting lineups, which are brought to you by Advocare. We'll start first with the home side New York Red Bulls and second-year manager Sandro Schwartz. It's A.J. Marcucci in net, Raheem Edwards, Noah Ayala, Sean Nealis, and Kyle Duncan on the back line. Daniel Edelman and Peter Stroud in the midfield. Mohamed Sofo, Wiki Carmona, Dennis Yanger supporting Victor Bogach up top for the Red Bulls. Now let's bring you the starting 11 for FC Dallas and first-year manager Eric Quill.
Maarten Paas, goalkeeper, University of Amsterdam.
Shaq Moore, right back, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Lalas Abubakar, central defender, University of Dayton.
Osaze Origide, centre back, Netherlands, Nijmegen.
Nolan Norris, midfielder, Fort Worth, Texas.
Kaique, midfield, Brazil.
Ramiro Benetti, midfielder, Brazil.
Luciano Costa, midfielder, I'm from Argentina.
Anderson Julio, soy delantero y soy de Quito, Ecuador.
Bernard Camungo, I'm a winger and I'm from Abilene, Texas.
Petar Musa, forward, from Zagreb, Croatia.
Subs tonight for Dallas: Marco Farfan, Siki and Savaling, Paxton Pomacall, Pedrinho, Logan Farrington, Sebastian Biaga, and Michael Collodi. As we bring in the voices of tonight's broadcast, it's Ryan Figert and Garrett Melcer filling in for Steve Davis tonight. And Garrett, as you're the guest, I'll give you the happy spin of this. So the quarterfinals will wait on the 7th to the 9th of July. So if Dallas wins tonight, they would get a little bit of a break before advancing to the next round. So what would a win tonight mean for FCD against the Red Bulls?
It'd be absolutely huge. I mean, going on to the next round is a reward unto itself, but also it'd just be huge for confidence. Let's be honest, the league form isn't ideal, so it's kind of nice to be able to switch gears a little bit, go into the Open Cup where it's a win or go home, and just kind of have a switch up the mindset a little bit and go out there and get a win and reward yourselves for a good performance away from home where they've been strong. Another chance to show that tonight.
Yeah, and I think tonight an opportunity to start to dream. If you win tonight, you go into the draw that's going to be tomorrow morning on the CBS Sports Golasso Network, and they're going to draw all the way to the final. So we can sit here for the next month and predict, how these games are going to go, draw, path our course all the way to a potential trophy.
And it's only 3 more wins to a trophy if you advance tonight, and Dallas has already won 3 games this year, so it's obviously it's possible. On the flip side of that, Ryan, let's say disaster strikes tonight and Dallas loses. What does that mean for this incarnation of the Toros?
Well, I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to go positive manifestation only here on the pregame show, but obviously this is huge. I think Eric Quill's put out a strong lineup tonight in response to the needs of the team. They need to get going, and Cups give you the opportunity where, like you said, you're just 4 wins away from a trophy. You have the opportunity to dream. You put out a strong lineup, and you go and earn your spot in the next round.
Well, looking at the lineup that attempts to do it tonight, we see the tandem of Musa and Lucho back in. We expect to see a lot of Lucho tonight, Garrett, because he's going to be yellow card suspended for Seattle on Saturday. But that's a pairing that has been very successful so far this year. But the question is, how much time are we going to see those two together tonight on the pitch?
It's a good question because Petar Musa is still working back from that ankle injury that sidelined him for an entire month. He only went 45 minutes last time out against Houston. He played the first 45. Maybe you often don't see that. This time, I would hope he can at least get 60 and build upon that because he's so important to how Dallas play. And I think he'll be maybe even more important tonight based on how the Red Bulls play in their high press. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that tandem is make or break for FC Dallas. When they're both on the field, they tend to find each other almost exclusively sometimes, and they can play the 1-2s all the way up the field. We saw that in Colorado early on in the season. They can create goals out of nothing when they're on the same page, and no one else on this team is on the same page like those two guys are. So another chance for them to continue building that chemistry and create goals out of nothing.
And obviously, Ryan, we've been talking a lot about Lucho Acosta since he was traded here, but more in the trying to figure out exactly what he's got. We saw him have a better performance against AV Alta, but that was a USL League One team, not exactly the stiffest of competition. As we go into a slightly rotated Red Bulls lineup tonight, what do you think the ceiling is for a guy like Acosta, who still seems to be finding his way in Frisco?
No, I mean, the ceiling is obviously very high. I think the floor has also been low at times. I think that's fair to say that, when it isn't working, it's been frustrating to watch. And the quality that he brings, he's very familiar, first of all, with an Eastern Conference opposition. He's played more games against Red Bull New York than any other team in Major League Soccer, 22 in total. 5 goals and 5 assists in that time. Also been sent off twice, and we don't want any of that tonight from Lucho. But he's very familiar with the opposition, and he's got his running mate back in the lineup in Petter Musa. So I expect a goal contribution from him tonight.
That's a very bold prediction, but one that we hope comes true. Looking at who else is in the lineup tonight, it's another Open Cup start for Bernard Kamungo after he got his first goal in over a year against AV Alta, Garrett. And Bernie is a guy that is the great definition of putting in the work and just hasn't found the success. Well, he looked really good in the first Open Cup game. He got another start, and I don't think anything that happened necessarily his fault, but I think we're seeing, hopefully, maybe the magic of the cup can infuse itself into Bernie Kamungo. Maybe he can find his way again tonight.
For sure. It's pretty clear that Eric Quill is just trying to play Bernard Kamungo back into form, and we know when Bernie's on form, he can be electric. We saw that at the end of 2023 when he really burst onto the scene and was scoring a goal every other game, and it seemed like every one of those goals was a winner or a game-tying goal like he had up in Seattle. But the only problem is he also hasn't been in that form in quite a while. Last season, I think it really hurt his confidence playing at wing back. It's definitely not a position that he loved to play. And we know with Bernie's background, he doesn't have a ton of high-level coaching experience under his belt. He's really only been in this environment, a professional environment, since around 2020. That's not a long time compared to most professional players at this level who've been in academy or some form of similar to that since they were 10, 11 years old. So it's different for Bernard Kamungo. But he's got the guy who found him, and that's Eric Quill, who found him in an open tryout and believed in him and played him at the USL level with North Texas SC and helped him become the professional that he is today. And I'm really proud of Eric to just stick to his guns and believe in Bernard Kamungo, even though sometimes Bernard's performances haven't been what we want them to be. But we know that there is magic in his boots at times, and Eric Quill is giving him those opportunities to find that again, like he did against AV Alta, which it was a very Bernard Kamungo goal, right? A one-touch finish in the box with a perfectly timed run. He's going to have a lot of opportunities to do that tonight again because of how Red Bull play in their high press. He'll have a lot of options to run in behind. He needs to continue to do that and kind of find himself again.
I remember talking to Quill after that game in the Open Cup, and he said it's never been a physical problem with Bernie. It's about restoring his mentality, his confidence, and he thought that he was on the road to doing that after that particular game. Looking at the other side of the pitch, Ryan, you've got Anderson Julio on that right side, and it looks like he'll be backed up by Shaq Moore, who's back in after some intermittent play with his tight hamstring. And I think that's a duo that really seems to work well together because we'll see Julio go wide at times, but he also likes to cut in, and having Shaq that can create that width for Julio, or even they can interchange, has been a useful play at times for Dallas when they're both out there.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see actually who provides the width tonight, because shifting Julio from the left where he started last week to the right now, are you asking him to be more vertical instead of coming inside? We know that's his nature, but we've also talked about it in the pre and post game show on the FC Dallas agenda. Wherever we talk about this team, is at a certain point we need Eric Quill to talk players out of some of their habits, out of some of their comfortable moments. And for Anderson Julio, if he can be the one to stretch the field and create the width, I think that takes some of the burden off of Shaq Moore. And I wonder if that's where sort of that hamstring tightness started to pop up, because they're asking him to provide the width in the attack and track back and be locked down defensively at the other. And that's a huge ask. Obviously, when the game calls for it, it's something that he can do and that he has done this season, but you don't want him to have to do that 35 times over the course of the season. So if Anderson Julio can be a little bit more disciplined and stay wide, that actually leaves Shaq Moore in a better position defensively up against the wingers of New York.
And on that same side, Garrett, we're seeing Nolan Norris back in, even though Marco Farfan has returned to tonight. It's the 18. But I think it's a really curious discussion maybe for the agenda later this week about what Dallas has specifically at left back, because Nolan hasn't added a lot of verticality, but he has brought in some good passing. It's going to be an interesting situation, but even tonight, this might be an opportunity for him to really show off some of that offensive skill the way that Red Bull plays.
It absolutely can be. When you mention the way that Red Bull plays, they're going to press very high. That's their entire ethos as a club. And the good thing is Nolan Norris is great with the ball at his feet. He's good at line-breaking passes that can break the press, probably more so than Marco Farfan is. Now we know Marco Farfan offers width and verticality in a way that Nolan Norris can't, just he doesn't have the athleticism to do it. So it's actually a good place to be for Eric Quill, to have two options who are very confident in themselves and also can play at this level. Nolan Norris, we didn't know that coming in. He's shown that over the last few games since he's gotten the opportunity. And you have two options, and they can rotate, and this definitely feels much more like a Nolan Norris game, and not to mention that there's no way Marco Farfan has 90 minutes and potentially 120 minutes in him because he was out for over a month with compartment syndrome, and he had surgery on both legs for that. So he's still coming back. I would doubt he has more than 30 minutes in those legs, especially at a position that's very demanding physically. So another chance for Nolan Norris to stake his claim and say, look, I'm the new starting left back. This is my club. I've been here since I was 12 years old. You're going to have to win this spot from me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good point, Garrett, you make about the potential for 120 minutes. That's going to factor into decisions made around substitutions tonight, because maybe, 60 minutes you'd like to bring in a Marco Farfan, but he has to be able to then go an extra 30 minutes after and play an entire hour. So that may factor into the thinking on the coaching staff tonight.
Speaking of bringing in guys, let's talk a little bit about the Dallas bench before we get to New York. There's three very notable names. One of them we've already mentioned, that is Marco Farfan. You've also got Paxton Pomykal and Logan Farrington. If you want to throw Pregame in there as well, he's been getting a run of form lately. And Ryan, when it comes to what Eric Quill has available to him in those shorter windows, we don't know exactly how much Pax has got in his legs. Obviously, Logan's about as game fit as he's going to get. But who do you think is the most important of those weapons that Eric Quill can go to in the second half or even later?
Yeah, I mean, based on the evidence that we've seen, every goal contribution from a substitute this season has been Pedrinho. So he's got, 2 goals and an assist off the bench. 1 goal and 2 assists off the bench and 1 goal as a starter this year. I think he's obviously been the game changer for Eric Quill. Come in, bring some attacking flair, bring some connectivity between the lines. He's the one to look out for. And then if you need to see out the game, I think bringing Logan Farrington on for Petter Musa, get up front, win fouls, be physical. That's his game as well.
So let's look at the Red Bull tonight, and they've rotated a little bit, mainly a couple of their big DPs not in the lineup tonight. Emil Forsberg, who has 5 goals and 3 assists in 14 games, is on the bench available. And then you got Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, who is their leading scorer, 7 goals in 14 games.
Also leading in terms of characters in his name. 4 total names there.
Yeah, it really is. It is a plus for goals and name there. But that's big for Dallas, Garrett, on one end, because they're not going to start. But it also creates a situation of you would probably be good to get ahead, because with those guys lurking like jaws, you don't really want to give them the opportunity to change the game in the 60th plus minute.
Absolutely. That's a lot of goals and a lot of assists on the bench for Sandro Schwartz to bring on if he needs. It's also a ton of experience in Europe. I mean, both those guys are mid to late 30s at this point and had long careers in Europe where they were playing in cup competitions and winning trophies and whatnot. So they know what a cup competition is. You're absolutely right. FC Dallas really needs to hopefully have a lead by the 60th minute, because you don't want to see those guys coming in if you're already a goal down. They can easily change the game for the better for Red Bulls, so it's going to be a tough one for Dallas, and they need to weather an early storm and try to get an early lead if possible.
Yeah, Choupo-Moting, who famously wasn't good enough to play for Stoke City in the championship, so then he went and signed and played in the Champions League with PSG and Bayern Munich. One of the craziest careers, I think, of any player in Europe in recent memory, but he's been scoring goals, and so he's going to be a threat off the bench.
But one of the things to Dallas's advantage is they're going to have the advance in defense, because you've got Victor Bogac, who is very large, but he is not very experienced.
He is big, 6'4".
But he's going up against Lalo Abubakar and Saze Urguide tonight. And that center back pairing for Dallas has been very good in general. But, man, I don't envy a youngish striker having to go up against Saze Urguide, especially in the vein of form that he's in.
Yeah, actually, if you look at their front line, Mohamed Sofo, 20 years old, Dennis Yangar, 21 years old. So everybody under 22 in the attack for New York. And we know they like to bring through these young talents, and they try and fit them into their game model, which is very vertical, very high pressing, a lot of energy amongst those three. And so it'll be definitely up to the Dallas backline to be composed under that pressure, and also to know when to just hoof it and go long and don't bring risk on yourselves unnecessarily. I think the one thing that those attackers for New York will bring is energy up front in the press. And Mohamed Sofo, to his credit, has been excellent in the Open Cup, 4 goals and 1 assist in 3 career games. That goes back to when he was playing for Red Bulls 2 last year as well. But 2 goals in the last round, the young Ghanaians, one to look out for.
Well, Dallas and New York have not met in this competition in a very long time. It was 1997, and technically it wasn't even these two clubs. It was the Dallas Burn and the New York Metro Stars. The then Burn went on to win that game. and went on to win their first trophy, the U.S. Open Cup that year in 1997. So a win tonight would be hopefully very prophetic for this Dallas squad as they look to add U.S. Open Cup number 3 to their trophy case. But that's going to do it for tonight's FC Dallas postgame show. When we return, it's U.S. Open Cup action as Ryan and Garrett will get you ready for FC Dallas versus the New York Red Bulls at Sports Illustrated Stadium here in the round of 16. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And a spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Ibiaga. Tonight's FC Dallas match is up next, right here on the FC Dallas app.
Well, it's an all-original MLS matchup in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup tonight, as for the first time since the Dallas Burns run to lifting the trophy in 1997, it's New York and Dallas facing off in the country's longest-running competition. Eric Cole's side is at Sports Illustrated Stadium tonight in search of another win on the road, with a spot in the quarterfinals at stake. I'm Ryan Figert, joined on the call tonight by the FC Dallas insider, our very own Garrett Melcer. Garrett, welcome back aboard.
Thanks for having me.
Game 2 for you this season, essentially a veteran at this point. And Garrett, this game, being a knockout game, it presents some interesting challenges for Eric Quill and the coaching staff tonight. But I think it's clear with the lineup that they put out, this is a high priority for the team.
Yeah, it has to be. And look, there's only a few competitions on the line anytime. There's only so many trophies you can win. MLS Cup, it's really, really hard to win. The Open Cup, it's probably never been easier to win because of how it's changed in the last few years with only a certain number of MLS teams going into it. So you might as well go all out and go for the trophy. And we know this is a trophy that means more to FC Dallas than it might to other clubs. It was the very first trophy that this club won back in '97, like you mentioned. And also the name of it, the namesake, Lamar Hunt, the patriarch of FC Dallas, also the name on this trophy. You might as well go and get it, especially when your league form isn't the best, and it's not the best for FC Dallas, let's be honest. They need to change their mindset, go into this do-or-die game, and then go for the cup.
And Garrett, not much rotation for Eric Quill, but some rotation for us in the booth. Usually Steve Davis does the keys to the game, but for the keys to the game presented by Toyota, I'm going to throw it to you.
Absolutely. The keys to the game presented by Toyota. The first one, treat it like a final. We basically just talked about this, but this is what also Eric Quill said to the players before the last game. Look, it's 5 games to lift a trophy. Now it's just 4. You might as well absolutely go for it, and it's do or die. League form isn't the best. Put it out all on the line and go for it. Second, bypass the press. We know the Red Bulls are going to press high. That's what they do. It's been their club ethos for the last 10 years. And we know it's no secret that FC Dallas isn't the best at beating the press and building out of the back. So go ahead and just bypass it. Hit a long ball up to Peter Musa or Bernard Kamungo or Anderson Julio making runs in behind and just skip all the hard part and get right out there. Last one, find Lucho. That can basically be the game plan every time because he's so creative and he's so good on the ball. But it can be that even more so this time around because he's suspended for Saturday and therefore can at least go 90 minutes tonight and potentially 120 if he needs it.
Well, we are 90 minutes and potentially 120 minutes away from deciding a spot in the quarterfinals of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Dallas has taken the field alongside the New York Red Bulls in Harrison, New Jersey. Dallas wearing the Inferno kits. The light jersey was with red accents moving from left to right in the first half. And the New York Red Bulls in their red and black throwback to the Metro Stars days, moving from right to left. The Metro Stars who fell to the Dallas Burn in 1997, who eventually lifted this famous trophy.
Good times. How old were you in 97, right?
-2, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, not quite conceived at that point. Referee tonight, Alyssa Nichols in the middle, assisted by Thomas Felice and Christian Little. We await her whistle to get things going. It's Lucho Acosta in the center circle, set to drop this one back and get us underway here in just a moment. We're going to look at Lawless Abubakar getting the start in there alongside Osaze Urquide. Just the second time they started together in a back four this season. And in the previous game, Abubakar went 45 minutes at Minnesota before he had to be removed for injury. But Garrett, he's been in pretty good form as of late.
He has, and we know he's excellent in the air, especially on attacking set pieces, which could be huge for Dallas tonight. I mean, it's a game that's probably going to be quite tight because it's win or go home. Oftentimes, it can just be on a knife edge, and the thing that separates it is a set piece. He's often the guy that they look to. And next to Osaze Urquide, not a slouch in the air either. Could be a real danger point, those two.
The margin's thinner at this point in the knockout competition. We are underway in the round of 16 of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup from Harrison, New Jersey. Dallas going long up towards Petar Musa, who wins the first header, turning it over to the Red Bulls, who will have their first possession of the evening, although Osaze Urquide wins a couple of headers. Again, ping-ponging back and forth, some head tennis between the two teams in the opening 30 seconds. Kaike trying to settle it, does get it out wide left for Nolan Norris, chipped ahead for the run of Bernard Kamungo. The Red Bulls clear only as far as Kaike. Kaike, whose last involvement with Grêmio was a cup run for their youth side, winning a famous regional tournament down in Brazil. Ramiro, alongside him, has won the Copa Libertadores, the top prize in South America. Dallas moving up the right side here. Anderson Julio lost his balance as he went for the cross and turned it over. Shaq Moore trying to bite into a tackle there against Peter Stroud. Abubakar across to cover up against Bogash. And a foul whistled against Dallas. Stroud picks up the first free kick of the game.
Good early move there to find Anderson Julio out wide. We know he's very dangerous out there. Scored a really, really good solo goal from a very similar position. That time looking to cross a little early, but didn't really find a target there and kind of gave up possession.
Build up on the right side for the Red Bulls. Kyle Duncan forced back the New York native. Pretty local core to this New York Red Bulls side. Man on the ball here, Noah Ayla coming over from Sweden, 22-year-old center back. Swing it through from right to left, and Mohamed Sofo has been prolific in the Open Cup, drops this one off. Now they'll go direct, looking for the run of Yengar. Header won there by Urquide. Dallas in possession. Norris, though, with a giveaway. And now bearing down on goal. It's Carmona, slipped into the path of Bogash. The flag went up, and the attack comes to a halt there for the Red Bulls, but a uncharacteristic sloppy moment there for Nolan Norris.
Yeah, very worrying signs right there. A giveaway that Nolan will really want back because he didn't need to do it. Get another look here and just basically lose out on a duel, and then it's 2v1. And Osaze does a very good job to hold his line there and let Bogac run in behind him and be called offside. But a worrying early signs for Dallas trying to build out of the back.
Oh, that was one of the keys to the match, knowing when to go long. Dallas again trying to build up the right side with Ramiro, and runs into Sofo, and it's out for a Red Bulls throw. Raheem Edwards, who every time we call a game with Raheem Edwards, he's on a different team. This is his 7th team in 10 seasons in Major League Soccer. Second stint with the Red Bulls.
Probably qualifies you as a journeyman in MLS terms, I would say.
He's definitely he's on the Kai Kamara trajectory as he launches a long throw into the box here. Flicked on by Bogash, flicked on again by Ayla towards the back post. Sofo beaten to it by Bernard Kamungo, who can dribble clear.
Good tracking back there for Bernard Kamungo just to get in the way of that, and now carrying the ball out, finding Musa.
Musa on the turn in the center circle, swings it out to the near side for Julio. Acosta wide of him, picks it up now, moving from outside to in. Early cross swung in, and it's a first touch for the New York Red Bulls cup keeper, AJ Marcucci, who claims the cross easily there.
No surprise there. Once Lucho Acosta gets into the final third of the opponent for the very first time, guess who he's looking for? It's his best friend on the field, Petar Musa, trying to swing one into his head. Just got under it a little bit too much and made it quite easier for Marcucci to catch and gather.
in the 50s in Harrison, New Jersey tonight. Chance of rain, but looks like things are dry as of now, as there's a giveaway in midfield. Ka'ike intercepts, now out wide left for Kamungo. Checks back for Nolan Norris as we've played 4 minutes here in the round of 16. Presses on from New York, and Abubakar are going to drop this one back to Martin Paas, who will go long. Julio tries to take it off the chest, but it's turned over to Raheem Edwards. Daniel Edelman wearing the armband for New York in the center circle. He's 22 years old, but he was the captain of the U.S. U20s in the last U20 World Cup.
Something Nolan Norris could potentially do later on this year. Oftentimes a captain for that squad.
Oh, there's a loose pass from Sofo. Turns it over to Musa, who finds Acosta in the center circle. Out to Nolan Norris. Return to Lucho Acosta. Head up. Finds the ball forward looking for Musa. Pass intercepted by Stroud. And now the Red Bulls looking to counter. Carmona driving through the middle. Ramiro in retreat. Out to Sofo. 1v1 here against Lalas Abubakar, who goes to ground. Nice sliding tackle, as that was an all-Ghanaian matchup. And this time Abubakar comes out on top.
Excellent 1v1 defending there from Lalas Abubakar, because we know Sofo had him beat for pace, tries to go around him, but Abubakar staying step for step with him, and then knowing has to get a tackle in right there, and does it very, very cleanly, getting the ball out for a throw.
This is going to be a second opportunity for a long throw from Raheem Edwards. Launched into the box, a lot of height in the Red Bull team, with Bogac coming in the front line at 6'4". Second ball swung in, headed away by Norris, breaks for Edelman. 25 yards out and centrally, dropped off for Duncan. Duncan trying to play a little bit of a bizarre pass there, easily intercepted by Ramiro. And then Lucho Acosta, fighting for the second ball, commits a foul.
Those long throws from Edwards, just creating chaos. Doesn't really find any particular target. He's just trying to get the ball in the mixer, high up in the air, and just let his team fight for it. So far, on the 2 times, Dallas has done well to get their heads to it first and try to get the ball clear as quick as possible.
Red Bulls go short. They have amped up their possession a little bit this year under Sandro Schwartz, going away from the purely direct style of play of the past few seasons. Going direct here, though, looking for Bogash. Urguide on his case, comes away with the ball, finds Kamungo, who loses out up the left wing. Kamungo chasing Edelman, who maintains possession, dropping off for Edwards, who will go diagonal out to the far side. Duncan bringing it forward on the overlap. Ball into the 18 from Djengar. Ka'ike going to ground. Djengar got the cross away. Urguide there defensively for Dallas. Possession, though, stays with the home side, New York. Now Sofo matched up with Shaq Moore inside the 18, corner on the near side. Acosta coming back to help out defensively, gets a foot on the ball. But Dallas can't turn it into possession. It's still New York. And Peter Stroud now chipped into the box. Headed away easily there by Nolan Norris. Brought down by Kamungo under pressure. And Kamungo brought down, wins a free kick, and that breaks the spell of possession for New York.
Good work there for Bernard Kamungo. It's kind of a tough ball to take out of the air, but he did wonderfully to cushion it on his left foot and then just turn out of pressure, look up, and then eventually win the foul. Kind of relieve some pressure that Dallas has been under for the last 2 minutes or so.
Yeah, his touches look sharp here in the opening 7 minutes, I would say. Starting on the left wing tonight for Dallas as Abubakar goes direct, looking for Acosta. Loose touch there. Julio got a foot on the ball. And it's Sofo, who finds Carmona on the turn. Dropped off to Edelman with some time and space. Out wide right for Kyle Duncan now. 27-year-old right back. Plays it ahead for Djengar. And Urguide has been just a monster in these opening 8 minutes and these opening 15 games of his FC Dallas career. Comes away with the ball, and now Kamungo again. A nice dribble up the left side. Thought he won a foul, nothing given. Now Stroud on it for New York. Djengar to Duncan on the overlap. Early cross blocked by Norris. Kamungo looks to retrieve it, and he does eventually get possession by way of Nolan Norris. Musa chipped ahead, but ran out of space on the far side. It's out for a throw right on the halfway line.
Kamungo looking very sharp, like you said, and I said in the pregame show, Eric Quill's basically just trying to play him into form, and so far in the first 8 minutes here, this is the most confident I've seen him so far.
Oh, here's a giveaway, and Petter Musa's onto it now. Petter Musa into the 18 along the left side, looking for options inside the middle, poked towards Anderson Julio, but blocked behind for a corner. And not for the first time, New York causing some of their own problems in possession.
yeah, the best chance for both teams so far has been from giveaways in the back. We saw Norris give it away, and then Red Bulls create a chance that was eventually offside. But this time it was Musa winning possession, taking a long touch into space to carry it into the Red Bull box. And then the only two options were Lucho Acosta and Anderson Julio, both well marked by the Red Bull defenders. Not a ton of space to find, and the best option really there was to win a corner, which Petar Musa did.
And it'll be Lucho Acosta to take, left arm raised, in swinging service in towards the danger area. Uriguide gets up for it. Uriguide on the spin, couldn't get it on frame. And it's picked up there by Marcucci. Boy, Uriguide got some hops there. He showed some terrific aerial ability, but just couldn't steer it on target.
Absolutely, and this is a really good service from Lucho Acosta to begin with. Right into the danger area, top of the 6, and Uriguide was almost backwards trying to win a header with the back of his head.
He almost jumped over Kyle Duncan completely.
And he'll want that one back. Once the ball kind of almost fell right back to his feet, and he was basically on a 180 spinning karate kick at the ball on the ground essentially, and just couldn't quite make the contact, because any contact really would have probably taken it into the net, only, what, 1 yard out from the goal line. Quite lucky from New York's perspective that didn't end up in a FC Dallas opening goal.
Possession here up the left side for the Red Bulls. It's Edwards putting this one in behind for Sofo. Sofo's in behind Shaq Moore into the 18. Shaq Moore on retreat, blocks it behind, and this time it'll be a New York corner.
Very good tracking there from Shaq Moore. So far it's been Mohamed Sofo on the ball most often for Red Bulls in the attacking third, and he's definitely tricky, and he's got some speed, and he got the wrong side of Shaq Moore there, but Shaq able to adjust himself quickly, get back goal side, and get the block in, out for another Red Bull corner.
Looks like it's Jengar to take. And Swinger, ton of air underneath this one. It's going to drop in beyond the back post, and Shaq Moore there flicks it along, out for a throw on the far side.
Interesting delivery there from Jengar. I'm not sure if he quite meant to get that much loft on the ball. Makes it really, really difficult, because it basically has to be perfectly on the head for his forward to even direct it near the net. That time it was Dallas getting the clearance.
Now a long throw from the far side, flicked on at the near post, and Abubakar comes crashing in, gets a foot on the ball. Now breaks for Raheem Edwards. Raheem Edwards onto his right foot, lifts it in. Uriguide wins the first header, and eventually it bounces through comfortably for Martin Paz, although New York continuing to threaten on these long throws and set pieces. Martin Paz's punt was actually blocked. Dallas able to retrieve the ball in an awkward moment there. Now Musa trying to get on the turn. Musa, two defenders on his back, gives it away. Now Carmona. It's Ramiro, and then Kaique with the sliding tackle to win possession back for Dallas. Physicality definitely amped up, and that's what you get in a game with Red Bull New York involved. Ball down the line from Shaq Moore to Anderson Julio. Julio holds off one defender. Nice spin away from Sofo, then finds Acosta. Acosta chased back into the Dallas half, dropped off for Uriguide. Swing it wide left for Nolan Norris. 12 minutes in, scoreless here in the round of 16. Dallas at the formerly known as the Red Bull Arena, now Sports Illustrated Stadium. Looking to restore their road form that was so strong early in the season. Combination here between the two central midfielders, and Kaique now swings it out to Shaq Moore. Back to Abubakar. And Ramiro, first time ball down the line. Julio trying to bring it down, just gave possession away to Edwards, but Petar Musa has been active in the press, and he won it back there again for Dallas.
Dallas getting some much needed reps on the ball here. Only 12 minutes in, but they've done quite a bit of defending, with Red Bull getting the lion's share of the ball, oftentimes in Dallas's half as well. Dallas looking to get on the ball a little bit and try to build a little bit more, and maybe gets a little breather in the meantime as well.
Shaq Moore with 2-3 players around him, dropped off now to Abubakar, all the way back to Martin Paz. The pressure from Red Bulls, as expected, high up the field. Paz finds a nice diagonal out to Nolan Norris to break that pressure. Now Acosta dropping deep, 1-2 with Ramiro. Ramiro turns away from 3 Red Bull players, and now Dallas has some space to work with as Uriguide swings it out to Abubakar.
Not a lot of runs ahead of Wallace Abubakar here, having to turn backward once again. And even though Dallas is getting some much needed touches on the ball, like I said, not being able to really shift it forward much often. And when they do, oftentimes they lose possession like they did right there. And Musa taking a bit of a professional foul.
Yeah, as good as Kamungo's been with his touch, Julio's been a little bit disappointing here in the first 15 minutes, and now that's led to a potential counter for the Red Bulls. Yengar out to Bogash, Uriguide stepping in front. Bogash chased back to Kyle Duncan. Edelman, entry ball in towards Sofo, first touch, looking for Bogash, cleared away. And now Kamungo ahead for Lucho Acosta. Those are the only two players forward for Dallas. Now Julio streaming forward up the right side. Acosta looking for him, but the pass just needed 10% more.
It's a shame because it's great vision to spot the run through a sea of players, but Acosta just not getting the right contact. Although he wins the ball back here, 2v2.
Here's Acosta with Julio for company. Acosta on the dribble. Nealis on his back. Acosta swings it out to Kamungo just outside the 18 along the left side. Lifted in for Petar Musa. Petar Musa, a man on his back, and Dallas can't turn that into anything, at least immediately. They're back on it here with Ramiro. These giveaways from New York, I think they can count themselves lucky not to give away any real chances so far through those mistakes. Swung out here to Shaq Moore. Early ball in, looking for Acosta. Easily dealt with by Noah Ayla. And now a foot race going the other way. Bogash with the two Dallas center backs, and no surprise who comes out on top. It's Uriguide. Norris down the line. Ramiro gets on the turn. His ball forward blocked out for a throw. I'm going to let you know that the best way to experience FC Dallas soccer is with a season ticket membership, which has a host of benefits to make it the best option in sports, including a complimentary MLS season pass subscription, discounts on concessions at Toyota Stadium, and much more. You can find the membership that's perfect for you at fcdallas.com/memberships. Ramiro back to Uriguide. Dallas really controlling the last 5 minutes in terms of possession. Kaique ball forward, and maybe a bit of commentator's curse there. Kamungo heavy touch. Red Bulls can't connect. And Shaq Moore's back on it. Red Bulls going with their two designated players on the bench tonight. And that's Eric Maxim, Choupo-Moting, and Emil Forsberg. Available if required later on. Nice ball forward from Kaique. Chipped ahead to Shaq Moore. He can bring it up the right side. Shaq Moore. Ball swung in looking for Musa. Sliding tackle retrieved by Anderson Julio. Now here's Lucho Acosta. Acosta, early ball in towards Kamungo, who wins the header down for Musa. And just out of his reach, it's picked up by Marcucci.
Both times we've seen Lucho Acosta in that little half space on the right in the New York Red Bull attacking third. He's gone for kind of an early cross. The first one to Petar Musa, miss hit, collected by Marcucci. This time looking for Bernard Kamungo, who actually wins the header and almost is able to knock it into the path of Musa, but once again a little bit too close and a little bit too easy for Marcucci, who's able to gather and get Red Bulls back in possession.
The cup keeper for New York, AJ Marcucci's had to wait his time to get this opportunity in the first team. It's his 4th season in the organization. Only getting first team action this year, 1 game in MLS and now 2 in the Open Cup. Some possession here between the center backs for New York. Dallas standing just 10 yards off of them. Costa daring them to make that entry pass into the middle. Edwards ahead to Sofo, and Sofo's been out of sorts. There's another pass straight out of bounds looking for Ricky Carmona.
Red Bulls were on their front foot for the first 10 minutes with Dallas pushed back into their own half. It's kind of changed in the last 7 minutes or so. Dallas looking a little bit cleaner on the ball, having more of the ball, and Red Bulls looking a little bit shaky building out themselves.
Shaq Moore going to be whistled there for just a little tug. Right in front of Sandro Schwartz, the second-year manager for New York. Of course, led his team to MLS Cup against all odds last year. They had an entirely road-bound run to the final, knocking off some big names along the way. Columbus in the best-of-3 series at Orlando in the conference finals. That was just their second ever MLS Cup appearance as a club, one of the originals. Abubakar dealing with a bit of an awkward one there at the top of his own box. Nicely done. Dropped off to Martin Paz. Now out wide with Nolan Norris under pressure. Can go back to Martin Paz. And to Ramiro. It's clean with his first touch to find Uriguide. Ball ahead to Acosta. Just mishit that pass. Looking for Nolan Norris. Turns it over. Kyle Duncan to Edelman.
It's interesting that you said New York made a run to the MLS Cup final all on the road, because this year it's been kind of the opposite, not doing so well on the road. At home, though, they've been very strong. 16 of their 18 points in MLS have come at SI Stadium. So very difficult for Dallas to get a result here. But we do know Dallas has been much better on the road than at home. So it's kind of a case of a unstoppable force meets an immovable object tonight here in the Open Cup.
Unstoppable force outside of the confines of San Diego, California, at least so far in this season.
I thought we agreed to forget about that one.
We did, actually. That's on me. Here's Edwards bringing it up the near side. Chipped into the box just outside the reach of Yengar. And it's Stroud who picks up the loose ball for New York. Early ball from Duncan, just chipped in, easily dealt with by Abubakar. Breaks for Raheem Edwards, corner of the box. Kaique defending, nice sliding tackle there from the Brazilian. And it breaks for Lucho Acosta out the other end. He's got Peter Stroud out in some open field, and now a ball ahead looking for the run of Anderson Julio. That one had the weight on it, but intercepted by Noah Ayla. Appeals for a handball against Sofo, waved away. And now the referee will bring it back for the handball.
Going back a few moments ago, incredible sliding challenge from Kaique right on the top of his own box. If he'd got that wrong, it would have been a penalty for New York. Instead, he gets it perfectly right, gets his right foot on the ball, clears the danger, and that's the second sliding challenge he's won so far early in the first 20 minutes. And we do know that's very quickly becoming his signature move. He absolutely loves the sliding challenge, and he is very, very good at it, the 19-year-old.
Shaq Moore receives it under heavy pressure there from Sofo. Smacks it off the New York winger and out for a throw. 20 minutes gone at SI Stadium. Scoreless here in the round of 16. 6 matches in the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup tonight. 5 of them taking place here in this 6:30 Central Time window, and then a Texas Derby later on tonight as Houston is at Austin. That should be an interesting watch for sure once this one's over. Will Dallas be watching on, wondering if perhaps their next opponent is involved in that game? The draw for the rest of the tournament will be tomorrow morning, as we're getting a look at the scores from across this round of 16. Philly Union in front against Charleston Battery. Minnesota also on top 1-0 against St. Louis City. As here's the ball through for Bogosh. Bogosh wrong side of the Dallas back line, but Urguide quickly erases the deficit and gets his body in front to shield it through to Martin Paz.
Good work from both Osaze Urguide and Shaq Moore there. It was almost through to Bogosh, but both of them kind of were able to step in front of him, close down the space, and it was really an effort from both of them to make that happen and dispossess Bogosh in a very dangerous spot right about 12 yards out of Martin Paz's goal.
The other early action, Orlando leading 1-0 against Nashville SC.
We do know Oscar Pareja, Papi, as he's known around these parts at FC Dallas, he loves an Open Cup run. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go deep in this tournament as well.
Raheem Edwards lining up another long throw. This one from the near side. Plenty of height forward for New York here, as Edwards takes that one from at least a step onto the field. It's flicked on at the near post and dealt with at the back post there. Now Kamungo can bring it forward on the dribble up the far side. Dropped off for Ramiro into Musa. Musa wide again to Bernard Kamungo. Quickly closed down, and he finds Ramiro, who will hit a diagonal switching ball out to Lucho Acosta, popping up on the right wing, but just couldn't get past Raheem Edwards. Good weight on the pass there from Ramiro, but Lucho couldn't turn it into anything productive.
It's good defending there from Duncan Edwards. Excuse me, Raheem Edwards. Shutting down Lucho 1v1, because Lucho, he had Anderson Julio making a run in behind. That kind of opened up the space for him to cut inside, but Edwards making the challenge and winning the ball cleanly.
Looks like, at least for the moment, it's Julio who's through the middle, and Lucho Acosta who's flared out to the right side for Dallas in the formation. Urguide into Ramiro, back to Martin Paz. Martin Paz, loose pass here, giveaway to Sofo. Sofo inside the 18, takes the shot on, and it's over the bar. And this time it was Dallas causing their own problems, but luckily Sofo couldn't continue his hot start to his Open Cup career.
And that's the danger the Red Bulls have every time. They're going to press high. This time it's Martin Paz, little loose pass out. Yeah, and he didn't have a lot of options. He was basically trying to go square to, I believe, Lalas Abubakar. Just got it all wrong, and a good chance for Sofo. 18 yards out, 17 yards out or so. Right-footed, attempted curler, just goes over Pas's bar hoop. If that had been much lower, I think Pas would have been able to get a hand on that and push it over the bar for safety anyway.
Sofo, 4 goals and an assist in 3 Open Cup matches. Some of those were in early rounds with Red Bulls 2 last year. Dallas in possession. Ramiro out to Nolan Norris, who can bring it into the Red Bulls half and then drops it off to Urigide. Kaike on the turn through the middle, rolls it ahead, looking for the feet of Julio. Julio can't retain it. It's given away, and now the Red Bulls can counter. Sofo, maybe with some confidence of getting that opportunity moments ago. Dropped off here. It's Stroud in the center circle. Stroud, another local player with roots in the Red Bull Academy, alongside Edelman, who's a homegrown in midfield today.
See Dallas here defending out of the 4-3-3. Essentially right now it's Bernard Kamungo tucking in as a midfielder, letting Lucho Acosta be part of that front three.
Edwards under pressure from Julio. Back to Noah Ayla. Red Bulls on it here in their own half. Fired into the feet of Bogac through the middle, along the ground. Now Shaq Moore goes sliding in, and Anderson Julio able to track back and recover the loose ball. Now Moore back to Martin Pas. Under pressure, he goes long. And Dallas have Peter Musa out there, but they haven't found him effectively with these long direct balls. And here's a whistle, and Ramiro committing a foul. Immediately a hand up apologetically, but he's going to pick up a yellow card here, the first of the game.
I think it's his first foul of the game as well. Maybe perhaps a little unlucky to get the yellow, though. He did have the arm raised, as in my bad, almost immediately after making contact, so could have been a bit of an accidental stamp, perhaps. Let's see here. And yes, absolutely, absolutely. An accidental stamp right on the shin. Stroud, that's a painful one for sure. Completely incidental, but it hurts all the same. Studs right to the calf or so.
And no VAR tonight, and Ramiro might be a little bit lucky that that's the case here in the round of 16.
Looks extra rough in slow-mo, I must say. The cleats right up in the calf area. Once the ball had already gone.
Too, right? That's always the concern.
I guess perhaps a saving grace there is that there was no malice whatsoever, and he didn't really follow through with much body weight, but you know that one's going to leave a mark.
Now Stroud up to his feet as we've resumed play here in the 26th minute. Still 11v11, but Ramiro will have to manage that yellow card. Martin Pas out off his line to come and pick it up. And he'll drop it at his feet. This is sort of the cat and mouse game of playing a high pressing team. If you can bait them into putting those numbers forward, there's space to go the other way. And Dallas looking to do that here. Kamungo into the feet of Musa, down the line for Bernard Kamungo via Nolan Norris. Kamungo brings it forward. Kamungo now waiting for options. His back turned to Kyle Duncan. Finds Nolan Norris, and Dallas some possession here in the attacking half. Ramiro into Lucho, back heel. Musa on the same page, able to retrieve it. Now gets it wide left for Nolan Norris. Back to Ramiro. Dallas probing here the Red Bulls back line. It's Kaike, some space here in the center. Drop of the shoulder. Now finds Ramiro, first time ball into the feet of Musa, laid down for Kamungo. Kamungo inside the 18. Oh, he's got the opening goal. Bernard Kamungo in the Open Cup strikes once again.
This is a beautiful, beautiful team goal from FC Dallas. A lot of interplay beginning really with a long ball from Nolan Norris that found Kamungo. He kind of got slowed up, ended up playing it back, and then Dallas established possession in the Red Bulls half. It worked between both center backs, finding Kaike, little check back, finds Ramiro, first time ball to Musa, who just, that ball from Musa is fantastic. Just a little touch through for Kamungo making the run, and this is where Kamungo's at his best. First touch out of his feet on his favored left foot, and it's just a confident finish that we haven't seen in quite a while outside of the last round in the Open Cup. A confident left-footed finish right into the side netting past AJ Marcucci. It's a phenomenal opening goal from FC Dallas, exactly what Eric Quill and how they drew it up.
Well, Kamungo, who is without a goal since Decision Day 2023 in MLS play, now has goals in back-to-back Open Cup games. And that is a big one, the opening goal here on the road in New York. And maybe some signs of life in terms of chemistry in the attacking areas there for Dallas, and so much of that is getting Petar Musa back in the lineup. I mean, his touch is key, setting up the goal and picking up the assist there.
That could easily be Dallas's best worked team goal this entire season. I mean, back to front almost. Center backs playing the ball, defensive midfielders playing the ball, the center forward playing just a perfect one-touch through ball, and then Bernard Kumungo with a really confident finish. It's great to see for him personally, but for Dallas all around, especially for the coaching staff who are working so hard in this opening season at the helm.
No long throw that time from Raheem Edwards. But he's a little bit fortunate as he gave it away and got it back. He's still stumbling on the ball here and fighting for it away from Ka'ike. Kumungo back defensively, able to get on the dribble away from pressure. Thought he might have committed a foul. Referee may play advantage here. Stroud on it. And this game at points is going to be disjointed. That's the Red Bull style. But Dallas on the goal, able to restore some order, and possession turning into the opener as we've played a half hour now. Into the feet of Bogash. Flick towards Carmona, and now here's Sofo. Sofo inside the 18 on the dribble, but he's whistled for a handball, trying to bring that one down. New York with some energy in response to the Dallas goal.
Good touch from Bogac there, just to kind of flick it into the path of Sofo. I don't think he intended to do it, but he did control the ball with his right arm. And it's a good thing the referee saw that, because his second touch went right under Al Boubacar, and then he looked like he was about to dribble around Nolan Norris into a dangerous area, but good eye from the referee just to catch that one.
For anyone who's synced it up and is watching alongside our broadcast, basically that situation is exactly what Dallas had leading to the goal. The difference being Petar Musa with a perfect touch into the feet of Kumungo, and Bogac, the rotated young Polish striker, firing it into the hand of Mohamed Sofo. And that's why you pay your DPs, and that's why you play your DPs if you want to make a run in this tournament. Dallas in possession here with Nolan Norris, who finally is not the only fit and available left back in the Dallas roster. Marco Farfan is in the 18. Here's a loose touch from Murugide, and there's numbers in the attack for the Red Bulls. Bogac, and that one turned wide of goal. Huge opportunity for the young Polish striker, as Dallas nearly the architects of their own downfall on this one.
Ooh, Dallas and Osaze Urugide very lucky to get away with this one, and it's just Urugide just lets the ball trail underneath his foot, and then it's a cross right to Bogac, and he'll probably want that one back because he's in the perfect spot on his right foot, and he just doesn't quite hit the target there. Tries to wrap his foot around it, ends up hitting it sort of into the ground, which actually would have made it really difficult for Martin Paz to anticipate, but just goes just wide with the right-footed curling effort. Dallas quite lucky to still be 1-0 up in this one.
And Dallas having scored with their only shot. I wonder if now the message from the bench will be just go long a little bit more frequently with the lead. 15 minutes till halftime, get to the break. Because now that's the second half chance created out of a Dallas mistake. And here's a mistake at the back for New York. Lucho Acosta robs possession from Raheem Edwards, but Edwards gets back on it and pokes it away from Lucho as he was bearing down on the 18-yard box.
This has certainly not been the cleanest game from either back line or goalkeepers so far. Lots of giveaways leading to opportunities. Not many opportunities that turned into shots on target, but dangerous opportunities nonetheless.
Here's a nice first-time ball from Acosta into Musa. Musa, early cross from the right side. He popped up on the right wing there, and it's defended and cleared away by Ayla. Ayla, long ball, header won by Ka'ike. Boubacar stabs it out towards Shaq Moore. Quickly closed down by Sofo, who's full of energy, full of speed, but he can't take possession there from the U.S. international. Urugide brings it forward on the dribble, laid out wide left for Nolan Norris. Norris looking for options, everybody running away from him. And eventually just launches it towards Bernie Kumungo, but turns possession over. Dallas in the press, win it back, and now Kumungo on the dribble, set back for Ka'ike. Ka'ike out the other way. Shaq Moore to Lucho Acosta. Moore goes on the overlap. Acosta on the dribble, finds Ka'ike. Ka'ike on the dribble now into the 18. Chipped it towards the back post where there's numbers. It's Petar Musa with the header down for Acosta, just out of his reach, and shielded out for a goal kick by Raheem Edwards, who's now going chest to chest with Lucho Acosta and some extracurriculars.
No surprise Lucho Acosta's involved in one of these. He's got a very fiery, competitive spirit, and it seems like at least once per game, he is chest to chest or forehead to forehead with an opposing player.
Well, at 5'3", he's not usually forehead to forehead with anybody. It's more maybe
forehead to chin
chest.
at best, forehead to chin. But that's in his personality. He plays the game on the very edge, and this is actually a decent chance. Saw earlier, Kaique in the box with 2 on him was able to get the cross in. Eventually, finding the head of Petar Musa, and Musa's, I don't know, I'm not sure if he's going for goal or trying to just hit it back into a dangerous area, but eventually was into a dangerous area, but also out of the reach of Lucho Acosta, who eventually then got into the little scuffle there.
As a sort of a power move there between who was going to release the other player's jersey first, and ended up in not quite coming to blows, but certainly a war of words. All in all, a goal kick for the Red Bulls here in the 35th minute. Dallas in front 1-0 through Bernard Kamungo. Kamungo, who's been heavily involved, not just in the goal, but active in helping Dallas progress the ball. And looking to do the same on the opposite side is Sofo. Sofo loses out, and then Kaique wins the foul. I'm interested, though. It seems like Dallas had been so right side dominant over the past 5 games or so, and now they're finding a lot more success up the left side, and Anderson Julio has been basically a bystander here through 35 minutes, Garrett.
It's so interesting because it really feels like either game to game, it just depends which side they go to. It's so rare that they are balanced in which side that they use for attacking, because oftentimes early in the season it was all down the right, and then this time almost all down the left. That could be something that Quill and the coaching staff may need to work on a little bit and maybe need to focus on in training, is just having a balance in terms of attacking width, because oftentimes we see, whichever game it may be, they really hyper-focus on one side, and it could be what has led to some of the attacking difficulties Dallas has experienced in the last month or so.
Right now it's Dallas trying to put the pressure on. Anderson Julio chasing it as it's eventually dropped off for Marcucci. No pressure on him inside the 18 as we look around the grounds. The scores in the Open Cup here. Nashville tying it up on the road at Orlando. 1-1 in that one. DC with an early lead, 1-0 at home against Charlotte. Dallas on their heels here a little bit defensively. Loose pass from the Red Bulls turned over to Abubakar. Musa looking to find Anderson Julio. Julio dropping the shoulder there into the Red Bulls player, but New York maintained possession. Edelman swings it out to the far side for Kyle Duncan. Norris comes in trying to bite at his heels. Duncan retains possession. Wide right with Yengar. Back to Sean Nealis. Sort of the cornerstone of this New York back line now. He's actually scored his first career goal against FC Dallas back in 2019. Both the New York center backs suspended for their game at the weekend in MLS play, so we expect they will probably go the distance tonight.
Much like Lucho Acosta for Dallas, suspended for the trip to Seattle coming up.
This is the first leg of a road trip for Dallas as they go straight from New York to Seattle after this one. And hopefully they'll be carrying some good vibes with them to a place where they have seldom won. They're going from a place where they have never won in Sports Illustrated Stadium to a place where they have won exactly one time on Lumen Field.
Back in 2011, thanks to an FC Dallas legend named Breck Shea.
A lot of love for Breck in this broadcast booth for sure. Dallas building up on the far side. Musa back to Ramiro. Norris chipped ahead, heads off of Musa, and turns over to New York, and Norris forced to commit a foul, and he's going to pick up a yellow card there. Feels a little bit harsh.
Definitely feels a little bit harsh because there wasn't much opportunity there. It wasn't really stopping a counter. It was a one-man dribbling session against 3 players, and I think Norris, let's see. Yeah, it's certainly a trip. It's certainly a foul, but considering that's his very first infringement and there was no advantage really taken away, that is certainly a harsh yellow card given to the young homegrown.
Well, he'll have to manage that. And if Dallas need, they'll have Marco Farfan on the bench in the second half, although we talked about in the pregame show, players with minutes restrictions, difficult to manage in these cup competitions when there's a possibility of extra time. Edwards is across to take this one off his left foot into the danger area. This one goes all the way through. No one in the same postal code there for New York. It's It's easily bouncing behind for a goal kick. Well, Dallas 3 straight games on the road starting tonight, but they're back home Saturday, May 31st to host the Philadelphia Union. For tickets and more information, please visit fcdallastickets.com. And when the schedule came out, that one wasn't one you really worried about nearly as much as you do now with the form that the Philadelphia Union are in under their new manager, Bradley Carnell. Martin Pos goes long here towards Petar Musa. Musa wins the header. But the whistle goes for a little bit of a push from the Croatian. And the Red Bulls go quickly.
Referee calling a very tight one tonight. Soft fouls being called, and soft fouls also earning yellow cards like we just saw with Nolan Norris.
And Alyssa Nichols, a young referee in the middle tonight. As long as it's consistently called tight, then I don't think there'll be too many complaints from either side, although sort of the New York Red Bull style of play usually lends itself to physical altercations like we've seen. Here's a Bubakar. He's tripped up by Bogac, and he wins the free kick. Taken quickly out to Nolan Norris, dropped off for Uragide. 5 minutes plus stoppage time until the halftime break here. Dallas in front 1-0, and Shaq Moore under pressure from Sofo, able to win it back. Ball down the line looking for Acosta, turned over to Edwards. Now Julio backtracking, gets a foot on the ball, and ball lifted in towards the area. Abubakar thought there was a shove in the back there, nothing given. It's headed down towards Sofo. Sofo goes down, and the whistle goes instead in favor of Dallas. Tough to see which of those potential fouls was called, but eventually it goes the way of Eric Kuhl's side.
I would assume it was the two-handed push from Bogac into the back of Osaze Uragide. Really the only reason that turned into a chance at all, because it certainly isn't a foul on Sofo. If anything, Nolan Norris had his arms on Sofo, so I'm assuming the foul was called just a few seconds prior to that.
Dallas, I think, won't be in too much of a hurry to resume things here. Just getting this lead to the halftime break paramount at this point. They scored with their one shot on target. I don't think that necessarily reflects that they have had good spells of possession and attacking play. And it's been the case all year long. Not a ton of shots for an Eric Quill side early in the season. They're pretty high in terms of the chances they have created and the value of those in terms of XG. More of a quality over quantity team so far in the attack. There's some pressure from Anderson Julio against Ayla. Now Ramiro steps up to put pressure on Edelman. Deflected out for a throw to be taken by Edwards. Edwards launching it down the line. Shackmore wins the header, but it breaks for Carmona. Carmona trying to put this one in behind. Nolan Norris alert to it, gets there ahead of Yengar. Dropped off to Martin Pos. Awkward clearance from him. And a foul committed by Osaze Uragide, challenging for the loose ball there against, looks like Bogac.
Need to see that one again. That didn't see a ton of contact in at first viewing. Kind of just looked like they both challenged for it. Bogac won the ball, and it ended up falling on his after his jump. Let's see. Oh, and I guess the call here is that
sort of undercut him.
Undercut him. Got there a little bit late and undercut him. That is probably a good call from Alyssa Nichols. It can sometimes be a dangerous play depending on how the player who's up in the air lands. Luckily that time Bogac feeling okay, getting up rather quickly.
9 fouls for Dallas, 5 committed by New York, and fortunately no Emil Forsberg on the field to potentially line up this free kick. Looks like it's going to be Carmona instead. This one just outside of shooting range, you'd think.
Two-man wall with Bernard Kamungo.
This one is lifted into the box and deflected off the post, and an outstretched arm from Martin Pos wasn't required, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway as the flag went up. And that one that developed rather quickly.
I need to see how on earth that ball ended up hitting the post, because it just kind of squirted through about 4 players.
Carmona on the approach. There's an offside player on the far side, and it actually got all the way through to Noah Ayla, who then put it off the woodwork.
Very interesting looking set piece, but Ayla certainly offside by a good 3 yards once the first flick on header came through. Good effort from him for a center back though to get the shot at least on the frame of the goal.
Scored his first goal for New York this year, like in April against Montreal, in his second season in MLS. Martin Poss going long, and it's out for the throw in the Red Bulls half. Duncan puts some air underneath this one, bouncing in front of Bogacz. Bogacz with a bicycle kick ahead, and Martin Poss out off his line. Going to put his foot through this one. Plenty of distance behind it, and this one's going to be awkward at the other end. Marcucci out off his line, but it's Ayla who takes defensive action with Petar Musa in the area. Ka'ike sliding tackle there against Sofo, and that's his third tremendous sliding tackle in midfield to stop the counter, as we're a minute plus stoppage time away from the halftime break.
Ka'ike 3 for 3 on tackles, winning another one there, but somehow being called for a foul, even though to me that looked like he absolutely got the ball. Maybe the foul was called on Ramiro, who was also right there.
If it is, of course, he has to be careful, having been booked. Ka'ike stayed down, now up to his feet.
Holding his eye, it appears. Hopefully he's okay. That's not a place you want to get hit.
Well, the Red Bulls were offside, but they did hit the woodwork moments ago from the set play. And they're going to have another chance to get this one in the box here.
Yeah, and I believe that foul is on Ramiro. Just kind of reaching around, getting a foot in onto the foot. Ka'ike eventually won the ball, but foul was already called.
It's Edwards into the box over everybody's head, and whistle goes for a foul. This one against New York. And we head into 1 minute of first half stoppage time. Before we get to the break, we want to let you know that you shouldn't miss the FC Dallas Rewind on KDFI More 27 every Tuesday night during the regular season at 7 p.m. You can catch a replay of FC Dallas' most recent MLS match for free on KDFI More 27. This free over-the-air channel is available everywhere in the DFW market. And if you missed this Tuesday's Rewind, I don't blame you. Hopefully next week brings you a little bit more for the FC Dallas faithful. That is a tremendous initiative. If you don't have MLS Season Pass, you'll be able to watch the team for free every week. Petar Musa down here as Dallas went direct, and he won the header and then got clattered into.
Looks to be holding the side of his head and near his ear. Could have easily gotten an elbow in that area. You know that one stings.
As we've now played 1 minute of stoppage time, we'll see if referee allows Dallas to potentially send this one into the box for one last opportunity. That's from 10 yards away from the halfway line, so they'll have to get some air underneath it. It looks like that will do it for us here in the first half. Bernard Kamungo on the score sheet for the second straight game in the Open Cup, and that means Dallas lead 1-0 in Harrison, New Jersey. We'll be back in just a moment to break it all down on the halftime show. It's FC Dallas 1, the New York Red Bulls 0 here in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
After 45 plus in Harrison, New Jersey, it's FC Dallas 1, New York Red Bulls 0 in the round of 16 of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Hello everybody, it is the FC Dallas Halftime Show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you this evening by Advocare, building champions together. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in just a few moments by the voices of tonight's contest, Ryan Figert and Garrett Melcer. But let's start with their halftime highlight. There is only one tonight, and it came in the 28th minute. And what a highlight it was as the Abilene Dream found his second goal in his mini Open Cup game.
It's Ka'ike, some space here in the center. Drop of the shoulder. Now finds Ramiro. First time ball into the feet of Musa. Laid down for Kamungo. Kamungo inside the 18. Oh, he's got the opening goal. Bernard Kamungo in the Open Cup strikes once again.
Second goal in as many Open Cup games for Bernard Kamungo. That made the score 1-0, and that is the score at the break up in New Jersey. Let's bring you the halftime stats, which tonight are brought to you by UMB Bank. Possession goes the way of the home side Red Bulls, 53-47. They also have the most total shots, too, but none of those are on target. One total shot for Dallas, one of those on target. That is the Kamungo goal. You see 9 fouls for Dallas, 7 fouls for the Red Bulls, 2 yellow cards for FCD so far. That goes to Ramiro and Nolan Norris. Let's bring in the voices of tonight's Open Cup contest, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. Not Steve Davis. If you had halftime, if you had it at halftime, go to the pay window, brother. It's actually Garrett Melcer. So I'll make up for it by Garrett by starting with you. Let's talk a little bit about Kamungo's goal because there's 2 parts that I want to talk about. One, let's start with Kamungo itself because he's had himself a very strong first half, really highlighted by that finish in the box.
That's Bernard Kamungo's best half of soccer since 2023, and there's very little doubt when I say that. I mean, besides the goal, which he took excellently on his favorite left foot, he just looked way more confident that entire half. Most illustrated by he's attacking with the ball and driving forward on the dribble. He has so rarely done that in the last year and a half, really. Oftentimes he'd get the ball, immediately turn around with a defender on his back, and then just pass back to his fullback or his center defensive midfielder. Instead, this time, he's dribbling into open space. He's dribbling through defenders. He looks more confident in connecting passes. And most importantly, I think his first touch has been on for the most part. I think he only had 1 loose touch in that. Oftentimes, that has been kind of a hallmark of his game when he is not confident, is he takes a bad or a very loose first touch. Only happened once this half. Most time when he got the ball, he took it very cleanly and then looked forward, and his goal was fantastic. I'm really happy to see that's the Bernard Kamungo of old. That's the Bernard Kamungo that we were so excited about when he broke out in 2023.
Yeah, and it's not just what Dallas need tonight. It's what they need going forward in the season is another winger to step up alongside Anderson Julio. It's been sort of a rotating cast between Kamungo, Leo Chu, who's out injured right now, and Pedrinho, and they've all had moments at times. They've all scored goals, but nobody's nailed down that spot, and they need somebody that can provide width, provide pace in behind, and Bernie obviously has those attributes. It's just been a waiting game for him to get back in form, get back confident in attacking in the way that we've seen him in these 2 Open Cup games.
And the other half of that goal, Ryan, is not just Bernie's contribution to it and his contribution on half. It's how the actual goal developed. You saw really nice passing, really clever work. Nobody got overhauled. They didn't linger too long with the ball. It was a true about 5-6 player team goal. It's something that Dallas hasn't really done much this year.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to go back and watch the tape because I think it starts with Martin Poss, I think. I mean, I don't remember them losing the ball in the sequence all the way, building up the left side, recycling back out to Ramiro, who then fired into the feet of Musa, set in behind for Bernard Kamungo. And that's the difference that Petter Musa can make. I mean, we love Logan Farrington, but that's not really his game. Those quick 1-2s, those layoffs inside the box, he hasn't been at his best trying to do those sort of actions in this season, trying to combine with Lucho. And when you bring Musa into the 11, it just elevates everybody else's game so much.
I want to highlight Ramiro on that one as well, because oftentimes he's been criticized for not advancing the ball and not passing forward. At that time, he absolutely fizzed in a forward pass to Petter Musa, and it was Musa's great touch to put in the path of Bernard Kamungo. But that's Ramiro being the veteran, not just being the guy who gets behind the ball, wins passes, and covers space, and then keeps the ball ticking over. That's him looking forward, and that's the kind of next evolution that we wanted to see. And we know it's in his bag, right? He played for one of the best teams in Brazil for a decade. He's got that in his bag. He has the talent. We just haven't quite seen it in this system for this team quite yet. That was a really, really good forward pass, and I believe he hit it first time as well.
Yeah, and you can just have so much more confidence when you're fizzing it into Petter Musa. You need to put pace on the ball when you're passing through the lines, and Musa can handle a pass like that.
And talking about just the whole team in general, if you look at how they're playing, I mean, you see, okay, one shot on target. It is a goal. That's good, and you're still concerned. But I think the way that they're playing tonight, Garrett, is, and I think some of the chaos ball of the Red Bulls is really benefiting them. After you got past about the first, give it about 10 minutes or so, Dallas really kind of started to settle in and have a little bit better idea of what they're trying to do and executing it well.
It was shaky for the first 10 minutes, and New York definitely had the better of the play early on, and I think Dallas was giving up the ball and making a few mistakes on the back line. They really cleaned that up 12 minutes on or so, and then started to play themselves into the game. Got a little bit more of the ball. They still don't have the lion's share of possession, but when they are on the ball, they're kind of picking their moments to rest with the ball in possession, but also get to look forward and then create chances like they did on the goal. Now, we probably want to see that happen a little bit more than once or twice like we saw in the first 45, but it does look like progress to me, because in the second half against Houston, that almost didn't happen whatsoever. So this is definitely progress, and now we need to see it in the second half, because much like in Houston, it looked pretty good for the first 45, and then adjustments happened, and Dallas couldn't readjust to that. They need to readjust if Red Bulls do change the shape of any kind the second half.
And I think, Ryan, before we look at the second half adjustments, when you look at who is out there so far for Dallas, I can only really count one player that I think hasn't made somewhat of a positive impact, and that would probably be Anderson Julio, which means 10 guys in your starting lineup are positively contributing to your effort tonight.
I like the glass half full approach for sure. I think it's going to come for Anderson Julio, because there's been almost moments, right? Almost Lucho putting it in behind for him a couple different times. Once it was under hit, once it was over hit. But if he gets that way to pass right, Julio's in behind, and we've seen what he can do. He has been definitely the most quiet of any of the Dallas outfield players for sure, but I think his moment will come, particularly if they go in and they say, hey, we got to shut down this Bernard Kamungo guy on the left side. That might open space up for Julio on the right.
Yeah, I'm interested to talk about that in the postgame show, especially to see how it develops over the next 45. But let's talk about the second half here. And the concern for Dallas is twofold. Garrett, we'll start with this one. You're up 1-0, so the eternal struggle begins. How long do you play for goal 2 versus how long do you try to shut down? The problem is with the Red Bulls, Emil Forsberg, and you've also got Chupo on the bench there. It's a real problem that Eric Quill's got to manage. I'm glad I don't have to do it, but how do you envision him handling that?
It's interesting. You definitely don't want to try to defend for 45 minutes away from home against the Red Bulls. I mean, they will press you into oblivion. You'll be on the back foot, and then your striker will be on the top of your own box. And that's a tough thing to do for 45 minutes, especially with a back line that hasn't played together a ton. We talked about this is Lala Sabukar's second start alongside Osaze Urugide when it's a back four. There's maybe not a ton of understanding between those four players, certainly not enough to try and hope to defend for 45 minutes without the ball. I think as much as they can, keep the same shape, keep what they're doing, because, I mean, they're defending a decent amount, but oftentimes in quite good areas. They haven't really been 11 players behind the ball in their own box, except for maybe the first 5-10 minutes, and they were able to build into the game a little bit. I think keep that going as long as you can, and then just try to counter whatever the Red Bulls try to throw at you, whether that be Emil Forsberg or Eric Choupo-Moting. I'm sure we'll see them at some point tonight if the score remains the same.
Yeah, and I think this won't be a surprise that we'll eventually see Logan Farrington, but I wouldn't hate to see him earlier rather than later, because Dallas needs to be careful playing out of the back. The two biggest chances for the Red Bulls came from giveaways, both starting at the feet of Martin Paz. One he gave away directly. The other one, I think Osaze Urugide should have probably controlled. But if they're playing in their own box against a team that is first in the league in PPDA, which is basically the key metric to understand, they're putting pressure on the opposition high up the field, there's going to be mistakes. I mean, they do it to the best teams in the league. They do it to Miami. They do it to Columbus. They force these mistakes. So in the second half, in a knockout game, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Go long. Bring Logan Farrington off the bench. Let him and Petar Musa be up top, be reference points, win the first ball, and get your team up the field.
And one thing about Logan Farrington, he's excellent taking the ball out of the air on his chest and then holding it up. I think that's one of the best things he does in this game. And so if Martin Paz, who we know doesn't like to pass short out of the back, if he can just, for lack of a better term, hoof it long to one of the big men up top, this is a knockout game. It doesn't matter how it looks. What matters is the result. And a win's a win. You move on. So, I mean, maybe play some old school hoofball if you need to do it.
And another thing Farrington does well is he draws fouls. He draws free kicks. If you're trying to stretch the game out, especially late, having that guy out there as a foul magnet is not a bad idea either. Another concern for Dallas, Ryan, is they're carrying 2 yellow cards right now. That's Nolan Norris and that's Ramiro. That's the bad news. The good news is if they're in control of the game and they feel confident, you can bring on Paxton Pomacolo to take Ramiro's place. You can bring on Marco Farfan to take Nolan Norris's place. But the issue there is the time limit that those guys might have in their legs tonight.
Yeah, I think obviously Paxton probably has more minutes in his legs than Marco. We haven't seen Marco yet since he returned from the surgery. So I would be surprised if we saw Marco Farfan at all tonight, but that yellow card definitely poses the question. And if Dallas get a second goal and they can feel confident, that they're not going to have to go to extra time, then you bring in a Marco Farfan. I think Paxton Pomykal we will certainly see in the second half.
I mean, I guess, Garrett, you could also, if you're really desperate, you do have Sebastian Biaga on your bench. If you feel good about your lead, take off Nolan, go to 3 at the back, and then try something else. But it's also going to be probably dependent on that first about 20 minutes where you're looking for that second goal before Eric Quill has to make that decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Sebastian Biaga at all. The amount of times that the Red Bulls are long throwing the ball into the box or crossing the ball into the box. They've got a lot of height in that team. Having an extra center back in there, and Biaga's quite good in there as well. An extra body in there just to clear the ball out. Maybe late in the game he could be the closer that Lalas Abubakar often is when it's Ibiaga starting. They could maybe swap places for this game.
One thing, I'm just going to say it because I think there's maybe less of a power of jinx on the halftime show versus when we get back into the broadcast. Dallas is unbeaten in the last 23 matches when leading at the half going back to May of 2022. Wow. I'm just going to say it, and we're just going to leave it there. We're not going to talk any more about it because I'm just worried about the jinx, but I wanted to provide that context to the listeners.
God, I hope I'm not leading off post-game yelling at you for that, but we will see. But right now, Dallas leads 1-0 after 45 minutes up in Harrison, New Jersey. A berth in the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinals is on the line. When we return here, will be Ryan and Garrett getting you ready for the second half of action from Sports Illustrated Stadium. This is FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wild at the world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Hi everyone, it's Paxton Pomykal, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Well, we are back underway at Sports Illustrated Stadium. Started the second half here. Dallas in front 1-0 in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup round of 16. And just like in the first half, it's the Red Bulls readying a long throw to kick things off here in the second 45. Kyle Duncan from the near side as the Red Bulls move from left to right. Lifts this one in. Nolan Norris wins the first header. And Duncan onto the second ball. Retrieves possession for New York. Doesn't look like any changes we can spot amongst the Dallas ranks here coming out of the halftime break. Norris, another interception. Finds Kamungo up the line. Back to Kaique. Now Norris, a little bit of a loose touch there, and that one runs out of play for a throw. And another chance for Kyle Duncan to lift it into the box.
I was going to ask, you think they're going to play it short or throw it long?
I think they got about a 90% on the long throw rate. Testing this Dallas back line. And using some of the height they've inserted into their lineup today. It's flicked on by Nealis, headed away by Abubakar. The Dallas center backs colliding there. And Urguide still yet to pick himself back up. There's a foul there whistled against Edelman in the middle. Commits that one against Kaique.
Good work from Kaique. Didn't have a lot of forward passing options there. Instead, kind of cut the ball backwards, turned around, and then won the foul just to relieve some pressure, because it's at a minute and 40 seconds into this half, and the ball has been in FC Dallas's half for the entire time so far.
Playing on the road, that is the nature of things quite often, but Dallas showed ability and possession in that first half. Some good spells, better than we've seen really under Eric Quill so far, as they've been working to build that chemistry. Martin Pass going long. Musa flicked towards Acosta, just out of his reach, and the Red Bulls drop it back to Marcucci in goal. Edwards brings it up the left side. Ramiro, wrong side, has to be careful. He's one of 2 Dallas players booked in the first half. Did just enough to get back in defensive shape. Now Dallas back in their own half. Time on the ball for Noah Ayla and the Red Bulls.
Dallas defending in a 4-4-2 right now. Both wingers tucking backwards to be next to the center midfielders in Kaique and Ramiro, and the 2 up top, Petter Musa, Lucho Acosta, defending as the 2 strikers.
Nealis down the line. Back to him from Duncan. Edwards out to Carmona on the far side, into Stroud in the middle. Dallas definitely defending as a unit here, and it's Lucho Acosta who's picked the pocket of Noah Ayla, tries to put it in behind for Anderson Julio and start the counter. But Raheem Edwards with the crucial intervention, and Edwards he's had Acosta's number, and we saw those 2 come to blows in the first half. That battle's one to watch here in the second.
It's the 3rd or 4th time that Lucho Acosta has won the ball off of Red Bull center backs. Hasn't unfortunately been able to turn it into attack of any sort. Oftentimes he doesn't really have many runners around him or moving forward, so the options are slim, but maybe you'd like to see him be a little bit more careful there and just turn backwards and turn an interception into some sustained possession.
Acosta's played more games against Red Bulls than any other opposition in MLS. Here's a good build-up from New York, and then finds Duncan up the right side, swings the cross in, breaks for Stroud. Stroud blazes it over the bar as the Dallas players flying in, trying to make the block. Stroud couldn't keep his shot down. And that build-up right through the middle cut Dallas open.
Very dangerous moment there. Stroud kind of starting it and getting on the end of it too. They're able to pull Osaze Urguide out of his back four spot, get the ball wide. Cross comes in and it falls quite kindly to Stroud after a clearance from Nolan Norris, and then it's just a half volley on his left foot. The midfielder striking it over Martin Pass's bar. Dangerous situation though. If that's on target, he's so close to the goal and he hit it with so much power, that's most likely going in for 1-1.
And a warning shot in the opening 5 minutes of the second half for Dallas. Now pressure on Marcucci from Anderson Julio, and the Red Bulls goalkeeper goes long. It's going to bounce all the way through to Martin Pass. Outside of his area, brings it down under no pressure from New York. Now he lifts it towards Musa, just overhit that one over the head of the Croatian, and possession turned over to New York. And now Carmona, drive at Ramiro, dropped off for Edwards, ball into the area, comfortable again for Martin Pass. And these 5 minutes, a little bit concerning, but more concerning for me on what it's going to look like if and when Forsberg enters the match.
And you would think if it stays 1-0 for another 10 minutes, once we hit the hour mark, I could definitely see Sandro Schwartz making a quick change, bringing on 2 of his highest paid players.
Forsberg got his first goal for the Red Bulls against Dallas early last season. Waiting on the bench here as some of the reserve attackers trying to build up. Bogac, who's grown into the game a little bit, trying to connect there with a teammate. Dallas get the clearance in. Numbers in the attack though. It's Carmona, shot from way out, and it's way off target. Nothing to bother Martin Pass there. Carmona in there in place of Forsberg.
Watching Dallas defend right now, you really worry about Ramiro in the middle there. We know he's on a yellow card and he's not the quickest player. He's getting himself into some dangerous situations. Red Bull's doing a good job of playing 1-2s around him, knowing that he can't really dive into any challenges for fear of a second yellow. That could be something for Eric Quill to think about in terms of perhaps an early change with Paxton Palmical already on the bench.
And it's interesting because if you bring in Paxton, like, you don't think he could go from here to the 120th minute if that's what's required, but you wouldn't also hate bringing him in here and then taking him off at the 90th minute if that's what's required.
certainly an option. It is an interesting prospect here, knowing that this game could finish after an hour and a half or could go the full 2 hours. Adds another wrinkle to when you make these substitutions.
52nd minute, it's Dallas in front 1-0. Bernard Kamungo scoring the only shot on target for FC Dallas so far. He's on the ball here, trying to lift it out towards Julio. Bounces back kindly for Bernard. Now lives it wide for Lucho Acosta. First time ball, spreading the play out to Julio on the far side, trying to shield it away from Raheem Edwards. Julio goes down. Now he's won it back from Edwards and puts it out ahead of Shaq Moore on the far side. Moore gets there, swings the early cross in. Edelman, I think a little bit needlessly, concedes a corner kick, and that's a good opportunity now coming for Dallas.
Well, it all starts with Bernard Kamungo doing some good work, getting a little lucky, basically playing a 1-2 off a Red Bull player, and then finding out wide to Lucho Acosta, who plays an incredibly high long ball, fell to the feet of Anderson Julio, who had a good first touch, ended up kind of getting dragged down, but no call, gets back up, wins possession again, finds the ball out wide for Shaq Moore, whose cross eventually cleared for the Dallas corner, which Lucho Acosta is, of course, taking.
Outswinger from Lucho Acosta in towards Abubakar. Header won by Duncan. Ramiro puts it back in. The clearance now out in front of Sofo. It's 2v2 going the other way. And the Red Bull streaming bodies forward, looking for an equalizing goal. Shaq Moore back defending against Sofo. Sofo shot blocked by Kaique. Back to Sofo. Now Duncan. Edge of the 18. Chipped up in towards Sofo. And Ramiro volleying clear. Now Kaique on the turn in the middle finds Bernard Kamungo. And Shaq Moore and Kaique doing some expert defending there. 2v2 on the counter, maybe even 3v2.
Kaique is going to be some player, man. At 19 years old, to get that, have the athleticism for that full field sprint back to offer the second defender there, but then also to slow them down enough for Dallas to win the ball, and then also to have the presence of mind after an 80-yard run to split the two defenders and relieve pressure. He is going to be a fantastic player, just 19 years old still.
And this time it's Lucho Acosta with a Kaique-like sliding tackle to put it out for a throw on the far side. Dallas, 2 corners in the game. Urguide with a good opportunity in the first half, and that one nearly led to a good opportunity for the Red Bulls on the counter. Costa thought he kept it in play, but it's out for another Red Bulls throw. Ramiro comes across, gets a foot on the ball, out towards Musa on the right side. Musa stabbed forward for Ramiro, who's the furthest player forward. Dropped off because that's the only direction he could go to Julio, who wins the throw. And Dallas getting pretty congested there on the right side.
I was about to say, there's about 5 players and about 3 square feet of space right there. Somehow turns into a free kick for the Red Bulls. I did not see any sort of contact or foul whatsoever. I thought it was going to be a Dallas throw, but ball back in play for Red Bulls here on the right.
Quickly switched over to the near side. Dropped off for Nealis. Time on the ball for Ayla. Looking for a line-breaking pass, finds the feet of Bogash, but he can't keep it. Kamungo back to Urguide. Back to Martin Pass. Wide left for Nolan Norris. Some time for him to launch this one down the field. Give Dallas a momentary reprieve, but it's Ayla who brings it down, and possession's back with the home side.
Well, typically, Nolan Norris is the player you want clearing the ball with some time. He's got an excellent left foot, but that time absolutely to nobody. Ayla making it look easy. Getting possession back from New York.
Now Pass going long again. This one towards Musa. Towering header there from Nealis, and he's whistled for a foul. Going over the top of Petar Musa. It's 2 very tall players at full stretch. I think they were both definitely could have dunked there.
And Sean Neal is not happy with that call. I might have to agree with him. It looked like he won the ball quite cleanly over the head of Petar Musa, but we do know that the game has been refereed quite closely, and so that one falls right in line with consistency.
Abubakar out wide right for Shaq Moore. Ball ahead to the feet of Musa. Musa flicking it in behind for the run of Julio. Ayla gets there first. Giveaway here from the goalkeeper, and Julio trying to find Lucho Acosta in the box. And that's a big opportunity spurned there for Dallas to find a second goal. And now going the other way, it's Urguide who wins a header, but still numbers in the attack for Red Bulls. Jengar ahead. Loose touch from Sofo, and it's Abubakar who puts it out for a throw.
Well, Anderson Julio will want that one back. He did a great job to intercept the initial pass from the goalkeeper. And then, unfortunately, his little back heel looking for the feet of Lucho Acosta just deflected
Header won by Abubakar. Here's a shot from inside the box, and Carmona plays that one over the bar. Not the first time that the Red Bulls snatch at a chance inside the 18. Pass, who put up his career high in saves in the Open Cup at Tampa Bay last year, hasn't had to be nearly that busy, and that's down to some poor finishing from the home side.
It absolutely is. This is a pretty good chance. Left foot, half volley. Didn't quite catch it right. Carmona there, giving Martin Pasa a little breather.
And Pasa goes long towards Julio. Can't win the header. Dallas struggling to go direct here in the second half. Wonder if you look to a Logan Farrington as we're approaching the hour mark here. Kamungo, easily man of the match so far for Dallas, knocks that one off of Duncan and out for a throw.
Approaching the hour mark, and this is when you would expect a one sub or potentially even two from Eric Quill here in the next 10 minutes or so. Keeping in mind that they don't know exactly when this game might end. If it's tied after 90, it will go to the extra 30 minutes, 2 50-minute halves.
There's a foul won by Kamungo as he was challenging for the ball in the air, just held there by Duncan. A second goal would make those calculations in terms of substitutions a whole lot easier, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. It's definitely a good test for Eric Quill, who, of course, is still quite young in his coaching career, especially at the MLS level, this being his first season. And now coaching in the Open Cup, which bring its own separate challenges from league play.
Throw in from Norris, flicked out wide by Musa. Red Bulls regain possession, trying to play through some pressure here. And a direct ball into the feet of Bogac. Laid off for Yengar, steps past Uragide. Numbers in the attack here for New York. It's Yengar running at the back line of FC Dallas. Shot through traffic, blocked, and spinning out towards the near side. Retrieved by Bogac. Laid off for Duncan. Duncan with 3 Dallas players around him. Sets it back for Edelman, keeps it ticking along. Here's Bogac, space inside the 18. Norris defending, and Uragide, terrific sliding tackle to erase the space and the chance entirely. And then Kaike comes across and wins a foul.
Where would FC Dallas be without Osaze Uragide? Originally, he was actually caught out of position. He ran up to try to snuff out the chance early on, but then he gets back in time. It's a good work from Red Bulls to get Bogac free in the box, and then just a sliding challenge. And I think he actually gets the ball with his heels. Yes, he
sort
does.
of overslid it, right? He got a little bit fortunate in the end, but
I think he may have adjusted on the fly, realizing that Bogac was slowing down. But I mean, it's fantastic 1v1 defending from the player who's been the player of the season for FC Dallas so far in 2025.
I think it's fair to say, though, on the hour mark, it doesn't feel sustainable if you bring in a player of Forsberg or Choupo-Moting's quality into the mix of things right now. Uragide tangling again with Bogac, and again winning a foul as he was facing his own goal with the forward on his back.
Not only is he fantastic at 1v1 defending like we just saw in the box on Bogac, he's very good at winning those fouls when he's facing his own goal. He's an excellent at, I mean, sometimes I might call it drawing a foul and making the most of contact, but the referees call that almost every time, and he knows that, and he draws the foul almost every time.
And similarly, the exact same situation on the other side. Whistle goes against Anderson Julio, but the Red Bulls turn it over with an awkward, quickly taken free kick, and now Dallas brings it up the near side. Acosta wide left for Bernard Kamungo. Back to Acosta, now to Norris. Kaike trying to get it wide left for Lucho Acosta. That one easily read by Duncan. Now Kaike goes sliding in on Duncan, who keeps possession, and Edelman finds Carmona through the middle. Carmona in a foot race here with Ramiro, and he's got the speed to beat him. Sets it wide left for Raheem Edwards, and Shaq Moore, well positioned, puts it out for a throw.
Good cover from Shaq Moore, but we see that once again the game's getting a little bit more stretched. And Ramiro, who doesn't have the highest speed on the team, as we know, also carrying a yellow card. He's being put in some very tough situations right now.
Yeah, we haven't got a shot of the Dallas bench or the substitutes warming up. But you wouldn't be surprised to see his number up on the board sometime soon. It's a difficult game for him. So far, standing tall alongside the teammates and keeping New York off the board. Defending deep here is Dallas as New York builds up on the far side. Edwards chipped ahead to Carmona. Edwards on the turn, corner of the 18. Stroud back to Ayla. Got Musa up in the air. Now Ayla combination through the lines. It's the center back bringing it forward. Dropped off to Carmona, defended by Lucho Acosta. And the
Bulls chase all the way back to Sean Nealis in the center circle. He'll swing it wide to Duncan. Edelman bursts through midfield, runs into Ramiro, and then Julio trying to defend from the wrong side and pick the pocket of Carmona. Carmona going on here. Edge of the 18, sets it back. Raheem Edwards crossing into the area. Header won by Uragide. And Musa gets back defending. Loose touch from him, though. Edelman with the shot. Now Sofo scores. And what was a chaotic build-up for the Red Bulls. It deflects to the Ghanaian, who can't stop scoring in the Open Cup. We're all even in Harrison, New Jersey.
We know Sofo's on a hot streak in the Open Cup, and it continues there. Sometimes the luck is just on your side, and it certainly was there because it was an initial really, really good block from Osaze Uragide, but the ball just kind of squirts right back into his path. And it's a confident finish past Martin Paz. And you said it a few moments ago, this doesn't feel sustainable with how Dallas was defending and how often the Red Bulls were creating chances. And we see it again, kind of pinballs in the box. But the fact that Red Bull have 5 players in the 18, there's a good chance it falls to one of you if you've got that many attacking players in the opposition box, and it does right there. And it's a good finish to go past Martin Paz to even this game at ones.
Yeah, I think back to the early weeks of the season, Petar Musa dropping in to defend against Houston. That's what he was trying to do there, but he just took a heavy touch and put it back into the maelstrom inside the 18-yard box, and eventually that ends in Sofo equalizing for the Red Bulls. And now a different set of questions for Dallas to answer as Sofo's replaced. And New York make the first set of changes. That was off our screen. We didn't quite see. It looks like Forsberg is on.
Potentially worst case scenario for FC Dallas there, to have the Red Bulls tie the game and then for the Red Bulls to bring on both their designated players, and Eric Choupo-Moting, who we're getting a look at right now, and Emil Forsberg, the Swedish international.
Looks like Sofo and Bogac, the two replaced. I do see Marco Farfan wearing his uniform on the sideline. We'll see him momentarily. Cameron Harper is on for Yengar as well for the Red Bulls, making it a triple change.
Well, the script has certainly flipped for Eric Quill and FC Dallas here, from 1-0 up to 1-1, also with 3 changes. Eric Quill and his coaching staff, I'm sure, are having conversations on how to counter what has just transpired in the last 3 minutes.
Choupo-Moting came off the bench to score in the Open Cup in the last round. Red Bulls advance past Colorado Springs of the USL Championship, 4-1 on the road. Martin Paz throwing that one out to Shaq Moore, who just had nowhere to go with it. And struggling to see why Dallas continues to try and play through this pressure, especially with the fresh legs just on the field. Now we do see the changes we thought we might see. Pomykal and Farfan ready to enter the match here. And it's actually Julio who's replaced, as well as Nolan Norris. That indicates maybe a change of shape for Dallas, trying to add some bodies into the middle.
I mean, hindsight is always 20/20 now that New York scored the equalizer, but we were calling quite a few moments before that, saying, look, Ramiro looks kind of gassed. He's being put in difficult situations. The game's getting stretched. Perhaps Eric Quill showing his hand a little bit too late there.
Ramiro makes an interception there and finds Kamungo, who advances the ball. Now Farfan goes long looking for Acosta. Acosta challenges for it on the edge of the 18, but it's Nealis who wins the header. And Kamungo now defending against Duncan, chasing him back. And Musa there in support. Nealis plays it down the line, got a little bit lucky with that one. Marco Farfan involved, putting that one out of play ahead of Cameron Harper. Good to see Farfan back. His first action since surgery to deal with some compartment syndrome he was dealing with in both legs. We'll see how he looks in his return to action tonight.
When I spoke to him, he said basically after 5 minutes in game, his legs from the knee down would essentially go numb, and you can imagine.
Now here's a dribble run through the middle. No foul as Dallas was defending there.
But you can imagine how difficult that is for a soccer player to be playing 80-plus minutes with numb legs. So I expect to see a new and improved Marco Farfan now that he's gotten that issue corrected.
See how he can bring some order to this game for Dallas, who are trying to build up on the far side and again causing themselves issues. Cameron Harper now shot from distance from just outside the 18 is off target. It just seems needless right now.
Yep, Dallas looking struggling continuously more with this press as the game goes on. That time, Shaq Moore trying to clear the ball, gets blocked, falls to Harper, who was closed down quite quickly by Loss Abubakar, but it's happening again right here where there's just so few passing options out of the back.
Acosta dropping in to try and help out now. It's with Farfan under pressure from 2. Farfan down the line finds Lucho, and they do play out of pressure here. Ka'ike, though, dribbles right back into that pressure, gives it away to Stroud. Here's Forsberg. First real involvement for him. Turns one way, turns the other. Now sprays it out to Harper on the near side. Ball down the line. Too much on it. Outside the reach of Peter Stroud.
Dangerous situations once again. This time it's Ka'ike dribbling just a little bit too close to the pressure, getting dispossessed, and then once again it's basically 3-on-4. This time it's Emil Forsberg, a very seasoned European player, on the ball, and then creating another chance. Just Dylan Harper's pass a little bit too long for Peter Stroud, but Dallas playing with fire right here.
Ramiro just too much on it for Abubakar, and it's out for a throw, and these throws have been dangerous if they opt to continue to launch it in. This time they go short. Stroud back to Edwards, under pressure from Pomykal. Pomykal chasing back here as Carmona looking to send a cross in, checks back instead. Dallas without really a sniff of anything in the attacking third. One giveaway that Julio couldn't turn into a shot on target, and that's about it in the second half. Their one shot was the goal in the first half through Bernard Kamungo. We sit here in the 69th minute at 1-1. Coming off the left side, it's Carmona. Return to him there by Edelman. Carmona on the turn, past Urguide into the 18. It's Choupo-Moting. Choupo-Moting chops back onto his right foot, sets it back now for Forsberg. Carmona over to Stroud. Stroud, though, gives it away. It's Bernard Kamungo back defensively and trying to make his way up the left side. Thought he was impeded there, but nothing given. And there's just no outlet right now for Dallas.
This is reminiscent of what the first 5 minutes of the game looked like, where Dallas was really in their shell and Red Bulls playing the ball easily at the top of their box and in Dallas's half. The only problem this time is hopefully Dallas will have enough energy to play their way into the game like they did after 10-12 minutes in the first.
And it looks like Pomykal is really just taking up Julio's position on the right. We've seen him play winger at times throughout his career.
That's an interesting call from Eric Quill. I'm curious, and I hope someone asks in the post-game press conference what the thinking is there, because Paxton Pomykal hasn't played winger in about 4 or 5 years.
There's a ball lifted over the top. Shaq Moore defending, gets the first head to it. And Pomykal back defending, retrieves the second ball and loses his footing as he sends it down the field, and that turns over possession to Stroud in New York. Here's Forsberg between the lines. Ball from Edwards early in towards Choupo-Moting, wins the first header, but it's straight up in the air. Martin Poth comes to claim. And it's not the end of the world, this spell for Dallas. They did concede. As it stands, we'd head to extra time. They just have to find a way to weather the storm like they did in the first 45. Made more difficult, of course, by the fact that the Red Bulls DPs have now entered the fray. Here's the Dallas DPs looking to combine. Musa finds Acosta, laid at his feet. Ball ahead into the feet of Kamungo. Nice combination here. Ka'ike has to turn back and finds Abubakar. Ramiro back to Abubakar. Those two just combining passes. Then Ramiro, nice ball through the lines, finds Pomykal in the pocket ahead to Kamungo. Couldn't combine though with Musa. And now Dallas with bodies cut upfield. Here's the counterattack opportunity for the Red Bulls. Forsberg trying to dummy it for Choupo-Moting, and fortunately for Dallas, didn't have enough pace to reach him. And Dallas regains possession. Kamungo drives up the left side, finds Acosta. Musa trying to chip it ahead to Kamungo, who stopped his run.
I think he may have been worried about being offside. Bernard Kamungo there. The pass came a little bit late from Peter Musa. Prior to that, though, it was better from FC Dallas, getting some touches on the ball. And then it was, once again, Ramiro finding the outlet pass and playing an advanced pass that broke the lines. Dallas needs to do that a little bit more and then allow themselves to rest rather than defending in their own box for 5-10 minute stretches like we've seen in the second half.
72nd minute. Knotted up at 1 here in the round of 16. A win tonight would put either side 3 wins away from a trophy and a spot in the CONCACAF Champions Cup next year. There's a long diagonal from the far side to the near. Duncan brings it down. Set back for Nealis. Here's Ayla. Space for the center back to drive into midfield. Finds Stroud on the turn. Out to Cameron Harper. Harper goes from right to left. Dropped off to Edwards. Edelman now wide left with Carmona. Edwards lifts this one in towards Ayla, nodded down towards Choupo-Moting. Choupo-Moting flicks it up to himself, and he was offside anyway, but the shot was off target. From the Cameroon international, his first moment of danger inside the 18.
Red Bulls center back Noah Ayla has shown really good feet a few times. This time carrying the ball once again right to the edge of Dallas's 18 and helping build up play. This time the cross comes in, and it is Choupo-Moting who's offside, I believe. Trying to do a little bit of juggling for the half bicycle attempt. Went wide regardless.
Choupo-Moting, who's been up for the Puskas Award a couple of times in his career, and he also had the most hilarious miss I think I've ever seen, in which he had a ball rolling into the net and actually cleared it off the line to the detriment of his PSG team at the time.
I wonder if his teammates had a word with him after that. I would imagine they did.
Think about the Nani goal that he took away from a teammate by being offside, needlessly slamming it into the net, something like that.
Not just any teammate, Cristiano Ronaldo, after a fantastic solo run against Spain.
Fair share of goals. You don't have to reflect back on that one. Dallas with some possession here in the attacking third. Acosta and Farfan exchange passes. Back to Acosta, quickly put under pressure by Harper. And Acosta is going to swing this one back out to Abubakar. All the way now back to Martin Pass. Missed the last game in MLS play against the Dynamo with some illness. And didn't play in the last round against AV Alta. Here's a ball from Pamukal down the line. Nice weight on it off his right foot. Finds Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore, early cross in towards Musa. Low shot saved. Kamungo on the follow-up, cleared off the line. Kamungo now brings it down inside the D, out towards Peter Musa. Musa chops back onto his right foot, trying to find space to shoot. And eventually the Red Bulls work it clear. By far the best chance for Dallas in the second half. Now maybe a counter, but Urugide puts a stop to that as he robs Choupo-Moting of possession. And now here's Kamungo in the attack once again. Out wide right for Shaq Moore, who stayed forward. Pamukal goes on the overlap. Early cross from Shaq Moore. Musa dealing with Nealis there. And Nealis wins the header and sends it down the field. Red Bulls trying to win a couple different fouls. It's Stroud who does in the 75th minute. Dallas through Paxton Pamukal really finding a breakthrough there, nearly a go-ahead goal.
And it's great work from AJ Marcucci in goal for the Red Bulls. 2 back-to-back saves. Both shots were at him, but it took some good reaction time to make sure the legs were closed and able to rebound both shots. First from Peter Musa, second from Bernard Kamungo on the rebound. But I mean, you said it, that all started with Paxton Pamukal finding a fantastic outlet pass down the right wing to his overlapping fullback. And that's what FC Dallas has missed so much with Paxton Pamukal, because he just thinks so quickly on the ball, and he's so two-footed that he's able to spray those passes out without needing to shift it onto his stronger left foot. He's just an excellent player, and maybe Eric Quill putting him out wide is just for his work rate out there and for opportunities just like that one.
Well, they just tripled the shot on target counter for Dallas in one attack as we've gone from 1 to 3. And with the ball falling to the feet of Peter Musa just outside the 6-yard box, you can't ask for a better chance. Just unfortunate that it was right at the goalkeeper that time. And here's Forsberg spreading it out to Duncan. He's going to drive at Marco Farfan, corner of the 18. Kaike comes across and he wins the tackle and comes away with possession. On it down the field for Kamungo. Kamungo on the dribble, just about keeps it in play up the sideline, and it just didn't go out of play.
I think they called the foul, actually.
It's fortunate. I thought they whistled to stop play and take a throw, but it's going to be a foul instead. Bernard Kamungo, some more fantastic work progressing it up the left side.
Yeah, and that's like I said at halftime, that's something that we just haven't seen from him very often in the last 18 months or so. But in this game, it's every other time he gets the ball, he just goes at the defender, drives past him, and I think he's recorded the highest speed on FC Dallas this year. He's very fleet of foot, and when he's on, he's very good at close control as well. He's done it again right here.
Nice turn there against Duncan. He brings it forward up the left side. Checks back, looking for options, finds Kaike. Kaike bending it towards the back post. Musa was all alone, but it's just
Not enough on it to find him. Here's Acosta, bouncing ball inside the 18. Petar Musa gets a foot to it. Just won't fall for Dallas like it did for Red Bull on the goal. Bouncing towards the Dallas end. Abubakar sends it way clear, and Kamungo, great first touch, brings it out of the sky. Looks like a totally different player tonight.
I was going to say, where has this been? Where has this been?
Kamungo receives it from Pamukal. Acosta on the turn. Oh, that's magic. Lucho Acosta puts Dallas back in front. There's the Lucho magic in the Open Cup.
Lucho Acosta, take a bow. That is phenomenal, phenomenal work. Just fantastic feat. And Bernard Kamungo, once again, the scorer of the opening goal, involved once again. Took a fantastic touch out of the air to bring it down. But the rest is all Lucho Acosta. We'll see here, Pamukal involved once again. Quick touch to Bernard Kamungo, and then, just basically two back-to-back Cruyff turns from Lucho Acosta to outwit both two defenders. I mean, that's phenomenal feat. You really can't teach that. My goodness. That is Lucho magic. And then the finish as well, just to roof it. That's the 2023 MLS MVP at his very, very best.
Nothing for Marcucci to do on that one, as Acosta left the defenders in his wake. And now Dallas find themselves just a matter of minutes away from a spot in the quarterfinals. Courtesy of their captain, their magician. 2-1 Dallas here in the 78th minute at Sports Illustrated Stadium. And now you start to think, is it time to batten down the hatches? Is Sebastian Ibeagha warming up?
Well, it's a good question, because when Dallas, it looks the shakiest is when they're defending on the edge of their own box, and when they look at their best, it's when they're playing more progressively. They look more dangerous. I mean, with 12 minutes plus stoppage, you're going to get at least 15 more minutes in this game. I would say it's certainly a little bit too early to make any kind of defensive substitutions. Keep playing how you have been for the last 10 minutes, because this Dallas just looks much less likely of conceding a goal than the Dallas we saw in the first 20 minutes of the second half.
Pamukal doing the hard yards there, chasing back on Carmona. And Dallas now into their defensive shape. Possession with the Red Bull center backs. Red Bull would have felt like things were going to plan when they got the equalizer, brought the big guns off the bench. And now Dallas with the counter blow. Setting up nicely here in these final 10 plus stoppage time. Headed away by Uragide. And then Edelman just launches that one out for a goal kick. You think Martin Poss will be involved at some point? Will he have to come up with that game-saving save? He didn't take a goal kick here. Certainly did it last year in the Open Cup.
I was like the exact same thing. He certainly did it down in Tampa Bay. Came up with about 6 game-winning saves. Could definitely be called upon to do it once again tonight with 10 minutes plus added time remaining.
That was Lucho Acosta's first goal since that matchup in the round of 32 against AV Alta. We've been waiting a few games through MLS play, but boy, was it worth the wait. Where does that one rank for you in the now 5 Lucho goals? I think it's up there with that Colorado chip over Zach Steffen.
Yeah, I think because of the move he made, basically a La Croqueta but backwards move to get away from the 2 Red Bull defenders on the edge of the box. That has to be number 1 for me. And then the finish isn't too bad either, because Marcucci was in a good position, although completely stranded. But he just smashed into the roof of the net as confident as you like. For me, that's the best of the 5, and it will take some beating.
And now we do see the change here with 10 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Kamungo replaced by Sebastian Ibeagha, and I don't think there's enough good things to be said about Bernard Kamungo's performance tonight. I mean, goal, assist, progressing the ball so consistently up the left wing. That was Bernard Kamungo at his very best, Garrett.
Absolutely, and we talked about how it's been quite a long time. You know, his breakout was in 2023 when he scored a handful of goals, and many of them winners. I still think this might be his most complete performance in terms of he got the goal, he got the assist, but also his all-around play, his ability to progress the ball on the dribble. We hadn't seen that a lot, certainly not in the last year or so. This was him in full confidence, and full credit to Eric Quill for playing him through that rough patch, just knowing that once this guy gets on, he's the kind of player that we just don't have on this team.
The only other game I can even think of maybe was Decision Day, his last goals in MLS when he had 2 goals in the first half and then had to come off with an injury. It's certainly his best in a long time. Abubakar into midfield. Kaike finds Pamukal, and Pamukal, who's amongst the leaders all time in club history in fouls drawn. I think that's his first foul won
of the match tonight, and it's good time for it just to give Dallas some rest.
I did not know that stat, but it does not surprise me the way he gets in amongst it on the field, and also how clever he is in terms of when to leave a foot in to draw a foul and relieve some pressure, and also just his ability to make it to timing right of winning the ball and then making sure the defender clips him.
Now Ramiro lifts it in for Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore goes down, and there's appeals here. The referee just says goal kick. Moore had got wrong side of the defender. The ball was spinning out of play. The way the game's been called, I mean, that would be called a foul anywhere else on the field.
It would, but at the same time, it's probably better to have a slightly higher standard for what is a penalty, giving a chance, an 80% chance of scoring. Sometimes I think there needs to be a good chance for it to happen rather than just an innocuous coming together, which I think that was a little bit more of.
So Dallas now looking like a 5-3-2. All three of their center backs on the field. Moore at right wing back, Farfan at left wing back, Acosta and Musa up front, Ka'ike, Pomykal, and Ramiro patrolling the middle. Edwards diagonal, looking for the run of Harper, flicked along by Uriguide, out towards Marco Farfan, who will send it clear. And brought out of the sky off the thigh of Lucho Acosta, who now spreads it out to the near side for Ka'ike. Back to Lucho. Lucho through the lines. Return to Ka'ike. Ka'ike now bearing down on goal. Driving from left to right. Ka'ike inside the D here. Now inside the 18. Oh, just a heavy touch at the wrong time. And that could have been a dagger blow for Dallas. They'll have to track back now.
I would say that's why Ka'ike is a defensive midfielder, but he also scored a great goal against Alta in the previous round. But definitely not his best moment there.
Now Ramiro trying to cover space. And it's Harper bringing it forward. Uriguide, though, fortunately there to cover. And Dallas looks pretty comfortable in this defensive shape here in these first 3 minutes since the change. Ka'ike wins a foul in the middle. Forsberg commits it. And there's so many stats being flashed up on the screen, and I'm not going to say any of them until the final whistle goes. Stick around for post-game coverage when I will...
no jinxes here.
no longer be able to jinx any type of result.
Changes now for the Red Bulls as well. Hack coming in, as well as
Doncourt. Hack a center back, Doncourt a midfielder. Duncan replaced, meaning they may be going to a back three. Much more attacking version of the shape that Dallas has taken up. Stroud replaced by Doncourt. That's more like for like.
Doncourt using his first name Ronald on the back of his shirt. Gave me some pause there. I was a little confused.
Doncourt, who took the same path that Mohamed Sofo did from a team in Mali to the Red Bulls second team to now a first team deal.
It's the Red Bull Scouting Network. We know one of the very, very best at doing that with their worldwide conglomeration of soccer clubs.
Costa trying to climb the ladder there against Nealis and is actually able to affect it, and Dallas wins back possession. Shaq Moore brings it up the right side, can't find a teammate. Now he goes hunting, but it's Doncourt. His first involvement is to turn nicely under pressure as we're in the 85th minute. Dallas leading 2-1 on the road. Lucho Acosta with the go-ahead goal as things stand. The opposite number 10 might have something to say about that here down the stretch. Emil Forsberg. Edelman trying to return it to Forsberg. Whistle goes. Edelman drawing contact, and Ramiro stayed down here. Looks in some pain.
Curious to see what exactly happened there, because I believe it was the foul was given to the Red Bulls, but it's Ka'ike who's holding his shins and now slapping the turf out of frustration with the referee.
Yeah, Ramiro beside himself there. Somebody had to let him know that he'd been deemed to have committed the foul. He's back up now in the middle of the midfield three for Dallas. Pomykal to his right, stabbing at the ball. And Carmona keeps it. Hack, first involvement for him, the left-footed center back. Out of Germany, receives it back here. Trying to split the lines and finds Forsberg inside the 18. Choupo-Moting, edge of the box. Now Carmona chipped in towards the danger area, and Farfan gets an important touch, and then Musa just sends it clear. A perfect clearance, whipping out of the danger and all the way back to AJ Marcucci.
Very, very important touch there from Marco Farfan, the substitute. coming in, and just because there were 2 Red Bull players at the back post, if he didn't get to that, there were going to be 2 unmarked players with a chance for a shot on Martin Pass's goal.
Building up through the middle here, Carmona flick towards Choupo-Moting. Choupo-Moting back to Edelman. And now Hack, diagonal out to the near side. Harper wins the header, knocking it down for Doncourt. Doncourt chased back by Farfan. Doesn't look like he's missed a step with over a month out through injury.
Filling in at left center back there because Uragide gotten pulled out onto the fullback area.
Ayla brings it forward, now dropped off for Hack, who will go in the overlap. Moving from outside to in, and now Forsberg inside the box. Set back for Hack again. Hack lifts this one in towards the back post, and it's Lucho Acosta now popping up defending as the left back. All hands to the pump defensively for Dallas.
Certainly all hands on deck moments now. 3 minutes plus added time remaining with a chance to go through the quarterfinals of the Open Cup. It's good to see Lucho Acosta there fighting for his team after doing what he's much better at, which is scoring goals on the other end.
And haven't seen this in a while. The long throw that the Rebels used in the first half is back here. It's Nealis. Puts a man underneath it, but Musa easily wins it. Chested down by Edelman on the edge of the 18. Keeps it alive. Forsberg sets it back for Edwards. Far side. Forsberg bending ball, but over everybody's head. And bounces behind for a goal kick as we've now played 88 minutes at Sports Illustrated Stadium.
Here we're getting a look at the goal again. I mean, it's just phenomenal feat from Lucho Acosta. Back to goal, 2 defenders on either side of him, shifts the ball from his left foot to his right foot with his insteps, right in between Sean Nealis, and then just gave the keeper the eyes, said I'm going far post, and then just dragged it into the roof of the net towards the near post. That is just a phenomenal solo goal.
I think there are 2 players that play in Major League Soccer that can score that goal, and they're both wearing the number 10 for their respective clubs, hailing from Argentina. I think you know who I might be referring to. The last 2 MLS MVPs, Leo Messi and Lucho Acosta.
I think Messi would have taken it with his left, though, however.
If we get a mirror image, we might be able to search through the annals of Messi goals and find one that's similar, but not many players can pull something off like that. Martin Pass doing well to take 40 seconds before taking that goal kick, and launches it long. It comes back towards the Dallas goal, and Ibeagha, an awkward clearance there, concedes a corner a little bit needlessly.
It was needless because there were 2 Dallas players there. I think Marco Farfan was defending, and it was just Forsberg running in on goal. And I think Ibeagha had more time than he thought and certainly miscued the clearance.
Raheem Edwards will take an in-swinger here in the 89th minute from the near side. A lot of air underneath it towards the back post. Header won there by Uragide, who will chase down the loose ball. And thought he was going to send it down the field, but it rolls out of play before he can. Now he's back into the shape here in the final minute of the 90. Towards the back post, Farfan challenging for it, but it's over his head. And the head of Raheem Edwards as well, out for another goal kick. And now we'll see how much more tension we're subjected to. Waiting for a peek at the 4th official's board. Doesn't feel like there should be a ton. No VAR checks, no VAR at all tonight. 2 goals, a few substitutions. 4 minutes between Dallas and the quarterfinals. Sandro Schwartz obviously protesting towards the 4th official wanting more.
Quite surprised he's protesting. I mean, 4 minutes feels like it's certainly enough. And Martin Pass seeing a yellow card for delaying the game on this goal kick here. But like you said, no VAR, which is kind of a breath of fresh air in many ways. But very few stoppages, and just the 2 goals. I suppose 4 minutes is about right.
Going long out towards Musa. He wins the header, and Acosta picks it up. Acosta on the dribble, skips past his defender. Thought he could have won a foul there. Nothing given, as we've played 39 seconds of the 4 minutes. Hack getting turned in midfield, sets up for Carmona. Now Forsberg looking dangerous through the lines here, out to Cameron Harper on the near side. Harper, early ball swung in. Ibeagha gets an important touch, then Kaique swings and misses, and then helps it further clear. But the Red Bulls keep the pressure on. Edwards loses out that time to Lucho Acosta, defending from behind, and the whistle goes, a free kick.
Very late foul called, huh? What? I'm not quite sure what they're calling. I think it was on Paxton Pomykal, but it was very late because the ball had already gone, and there were about 2 more passes from New York that came after that.
And this is concerning because Emil Forsberg is on the field now to take it.
guess Pomykal maybe caught him. I mean, Edwards left the ball behind.
It was after winning the ball. Pomykal wins the ball and then goes to ground again, but that's really more just Edwards falling over Pomykal's legs.
I think Edwards knew he had no chance with possession anymore and thought the best he could get was a free kick, which is what he was awarded by Alyssa Nichols. And this is the game right here. 92nd minute, 2 minutes of stoppage time to go. Forsberg standing over a free kick. Dallas in front 2-1. And Dallas going to try and muck things up here, take as much time as they can as they set the human barrier, a very tall one. Ibiaga, Irigide, Abubakar, and Shaq Moore, the 4 players in the wall for Martin Paas.
This is actually a scenario where Lawless Abubakar's hair could make a difference in the wall.
Acosta, again, just delaying things a little bit here for Forsberg. Musa's now joined the wall, standing at 6'4".
I think that's Kayike laying down behind it too, just to prevent
Acosta
from going
joining the wall as well. Here's Forsberg. Forsberg through the wall, and it deflects in. And you've just got to be kidding me. At the very death, Emil Forsberg off the bench to do what they pay him to do. And that's equalized here late in stoppage time.
It's just as unfortunate as it gets in soccer right there. I mean, I think we would all describe that as a harsh foul given on Paxton Pomykal for Edwards essentially falling over Pomakal's legs after he'd lost the ball, and then a deflected free kick off the arm, actually off the stomach and arm of Ramiro, just to go into the near post.
I don't think it's going on target at all.
And if it was, it wasn't hit at a height that would really bother Martin Paas, and that is just as painful and unfortunate as it gets in a cup competition. 2 minutes from going through to the quarterfinals, a soft foul that turns into a deflected free kick, and you can imagine how Eric Quill is feeling, and it's probably how we're all feeling, and it's very frustrated.
Well, now they've got to pick themselves back up. They could still win it here. Acosta receives it high up the field, trying to get turned, finds Marco Farfan wide left. Final seconds of stoppage time, lifts a cross in, too much air underneath it, and Marcucci can claim. And now the prospect of extra time looming. Marcucci spreads it out to Carmona. Dallas needs to get back and ensure extra time is where this game ends up. Referee waves away, contact there. Carmona going to ground. Pomykal back to Ibiaga. And we've played 4 minutes now. Awaiting the final whistle at 2-2. Red Bull's still searching for a potential late winner to really flip things on its head. Edwards wide left for Forsberg. Forsberg to Edelman, who'll bring it forward. Duncore to Cameron Harper, back to Duncore. I'm not sure where these 30 seconds have come from. Here's Ayla now driving forward through the middle. Sets it out wide left for Hack. Hack has his cross blocked out of play. It'll be a throw, a chance for the Red Bulls to get this in the box. They go quickly. Edwards back on it, looking for some space to cross off his right foot. And Musa back defending, sends it clear. Pomykal waiting on it, and then eventually just launches it off Ayla out for a throw. And we've played an extra minute here beyond the 4. I think the final whistle is coming soon. Didn't come soon enough for Dallas, who were leading into stoppage time, and now face the prospect of an extra half hour on the road in Harrison, New Jersey. Whistle goes for a free kick against Ramiro. I just don't understand why we're still playing. I think Dallas needs the break now, the extra time to regroup with all the momentum on the side of the Red Bulls. And they'll get one last opportunity to put it in the box here, and looks like it'll be Edwards to do so. Should be the final action of regulation here. Right arm raised for Edwards. Sends the ball in. Nice flight on it. Headed away by Shaq Moore. Ayla retrieves it out wide right for Cam Harper. Harper onto his left foot, bending this one towards the back post over everybody's head. And surely now that will do it.
There it is, yep.
Final whistle at 2-2. Dallas just a couple minutes and an unlucky deflection away from the quarterfinals, but they'll have to fight for more. Fight for that spot in the last 8 when we return. Extra time coming up here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. 2-2 in the Open Cup.
What'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Logan Farrington, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
We're headed to extra time in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup round of 16. A very unfortunate deflected free kick goal at the death for the New York Red Bulls means it is 2-2 after 90 minutes. Take you quickly through the scoring and some stats before we get set for extra time beginning here. Bernard Kamungo opening the scoring for Dallas in the first half, assisted by Petar Musa, before Mohamed Sofo equalized in the 63rd minute for New York. And Lucho Acosta restoring the lead. A bit of magic from the Dallas number 10, making it 2-1 in the 78th minute. And Dallas 1 minute or so away from reaching the quarterfinals before Forsberg stood over a free kick. And honestly, it was far from his best effort, just deflected off Ramiro and past Martin Paz, who was helpless to deal with it. Okay, we're getting another look at the build-up and the foul. And the frustration certainly abound. Dallas, though, have to pick themselves up here. There's still a game to be won.
Yeah, it's about unlucky as it can get, because I think it was a very soft foul from every perspective. Looking at it again, it looks like Paul McCall got most of the ball, and then the player fell over him. And then the deflection, perhaps a little, you could be harsh on Ramiro and say, why are you turning a little bit in the air? But at some points, it's also just human instinct. When a ball is flying very fast at you, you kind of turn your head away. I think it's just one of those where it just wasn't meant to be. But Dallas has another chance to go and win the game, and they'll do their best to do that. And we'll have to see how long some of these players have in their legs, because an extra 30 minutes of soccer with in a knockout game with everything on the line is going to be very intense. But we'll just have to wait and see.
And Petar Musa, who was coming back from injury, made his return against Houston from the start. And he's off now after 90 minutes. You didn't think you'd see him for longer than that. Logan Farrington's on as Dallas win a free kick here. Shaq Moore has won one in a dangerous position, and yellow card is out of the pocket of the referee. It looks like Alexander Hack, who was a late sub in regulation, has picked up a card.
Probably his first foul as a substitute. Maybe a little unlucky to get a yellow there. I think Shaq Moore's touch, we'll see here. Yeah, Shaq Moore, I think. I mean, there was contact with an arm, but I think Hack can count himself quite unlucky. So at least the soft fouls are going both ways tonight from the referee. That's all. Consistency is all we can ask, as the old saying goes.
Logan Farrington now on amongst the Dallas targets here for Lucho Acosta to aim at. Free kick from the edge of the box, extended on the far side, very wide on the Dallas right. 7 to aim at inside the 18. Acosta on the approach, sends it into the danger area. Uriguide gets ahead to it, but couldn't get it on target as he hopped over his man, as he does so often in these set-piece opportunities. He's matched up with Hack, who had just given away the foul.
Yeah, it's quite an aerial battle between Hack and Uriguide. Uriguide did win the ball, but he had to jump up so high, he didn't have a lot of chance to really put direction on the header, and that one skews quite high over the bar.
So Acosta, you don't have to worry about him playing on Saturday. You know he's suspended, and you think he'll probably go the distance here. Farrington on for Musa. The midfield right now, Pamacol, Ramiro, and Kayike. And the Dallas back five, Shaq Moore, Abubakar, Ibiaga, Uriguide, and Farfan. All the way back to Martin Post from Abubakar. Post goes long. Dallas in more of a defensive posture by nature of those substitutions they made to try and see the game out in regulation. Players remaining on the bench for them, Siki and Sabalang, Pedrinho. And I believe they'll have an opportunity to make one more change in extra time. That's traditional cup competitions. Give that 6th sub. Forsberg on it. Ball into the area. Choupo-Moting trying to get on the turn. Uriguide on his back, and Uriguide just shields it over the line for a goal kick. Giving the experienced Champions League striker everything he could deal with there, and maybe even a laid off side flag.
And when you talk about the players still remaining on the bench, Pedrinho kind of caught my eye a little bit, and you'd think there'd be a kind of a ready-made shift moving Paxton Pamacol into Ramiro's spot, because he has covered a ton of ground tonight, and he also plays almost every minute of every game so far, minus the one he was suspended for. You put Pamacol in the middle in his spot, and then you get Pedrinho out wide, where he's done some very good work, especially off the bench.
Yeah, Kayike into the middle too, where he played recently as well. He's defending here against Cameron Harper. Hack, the left center back of the three for Red Bulls, who are also playing in a different shape than they started with. Their substitutions born out of the desperation of trying to get back in the game. Ayla in the middle of the back three on the ball here. Farrington defending. Cross to Nealis. Nealis on the dribble, finds Harper. Came off the bench here in the second half. Harper, though, gives that one away to Lucho Acosta, and Acosta wins a free kick from Cameron Harper. Bit of experience there from the Dallas number 10 just to allow his team to get up the field here from the free kick.
Yep, he felt Harper's arms wrapped around his back, and that's about as easy as it gets for referees to see. And we know the game is being called quite tightly. Smart from Lucho Acosta. Go down and get possession back for your team in a few moments of rest, because this is the first time in over a year, I believe, that Dallas has gone into extra time, an extra 30 minutes.
Well, last time would have been their last Open Cup game against Kansas City. The quarterfinals
that would have been
last
quarterfinal, so a little less than a year.
Working it up the left side here, Farrington. Back to Acosta, Farrington. Some nice early touches here since coming on in extra time. Wide left with Lucho Acosta. Trying to find Kayike with a pass through the middle. Cut out, the ball forward, intercepted by Uriguide, back to Acosta. Acosta, another pass deflected. Ibiaga this time alert to it and sends it down the field. It'll be out of play near the corner flag at the other end.
This is a great opportunity for Logan Farrington. Been a little bit out of favor recently, haven't seen the best of him, but now coming into a game late against tired legs, this is a good chance for him to show his energy. That's one of his best traits, is how often he's just hurrying defenders on the back line. And of course, his finishing ability when he gets the ball in the box. Huge chance for him to become the hero tonight.
Scored in each of the Dallas victories in the Open Cup last year, including his first pro goal at home against Memphis. Free kick won by Uragide just in front of the Dallas bench. And that means Michel's up off the touchline to try and set something up here for Lucho Acosta. 2 arms raised for the Dallas number 10 and indicates something to his teammates. Michel spreading the players across the 18-yard box to try and find space.
He was quite the set-piece taker during his playing career, Michel was, so no surprise that he has stepped up to be the set-piece coach now that he's on the FC Dallas coaching staff.
Acosta rolls it across to Shaq Moore, who will now send a diagonal ball in towards Farrington. Farrington, I think, overthought that a little bit. Should have just tried to win the header. Instead, put 2 hands in the back of Daniel Edelman and didn't make contact. It ended up being a foul, but it would have been a goal kick.
Yeah, a little too obvious there from Logan Farrington. I mean, almost every time there's going to be a little bit of pushing and shoving in an aerial duel in the box, but that time his arms were way too outstretched and made it quite obvious that there was a push in the back. Good call from the referee.
Pomykal going hunting there, called for a foul. Didn't agree with the call. His introduction integral to Dallas gaining the lead in the second half. Now they have to fight to find a third goal. Ramiro here caught wrong side and Aniello has to leave. Daniel Edelman, who will drive forward. Pomykal on the retreat, gets back defensively. And then Shaq Moore just stepping in front of Raheem Edwards there to win possession back for Dallas. Now Farrington can dribble forward. Farrington with Edwards in his pocket, and eventually Edwards trips him up from behind. And the yellow card is out for Raheem Edwards.
Great work from Logan Farrington there. Carrying the ball forward, as he often does, making it hard on defenders. He's excellent at using his body to protect the ball. He does it there against 2 defenders. This time Edwards, and yeah, it's a correct yellow card. He stopped a counterattack with a bit of a cynical challenge. Just got too close and tripped up Logan Farrington from behind.
Another chance for Dallas to get something into the box here. And at the very least, you can say that the flow of play has not been like it was towards the end of the second half, where it was all towards the Dallas goal. They've stabilized things here in extra time. As Acosta has another long-range free kick here. Puts some air underneath this one towards Abubakar. Wins the header, nodding it across. Cleared away by Nealis. Retrieved by Marco Farfan. Body in the way. Edwards defending on his back. And Farfan had gone to ground. And he's won a free kick from Edwards. 2 consecutive conceded by the veteran left back. And this one much closer to goal. Close to the corner flag on the near side.
Yep, good work from Farfan. Shields the ball. Draws the contact from Edwards, and then contact again when he gets back up, and then again, then he gets back up. There are about 3 opportunities for the referee to call a foul. Eventually she did. And this one, a free kick that is almost like a corner, just about 2 yards away.
Now 39 combined fouls in this game. 6 yellow cards. Here's Lucho Acosta. Some air underneath this one, looking for the back post, but too much underneath it. And it's over the bar harmlessly.
Yeah, that's a waste from Lucho Acosta. He will definitely want that one back. Just way too much air, and certainly in a late game situation, when you know set pieces are going to be amongst your best chances to score, you need to at least keep that one in play.
Possession with Hack and the Red Bulls back line. I don't think they've quite figured out a consistent pattern to build up in their new formation with 3 center backs. Going long here, Abubakar wins the first header. Second ball breaks for Forsberg. Possession now into the attacking half with Sean Nealis. Time on the ball for Nealis in the 100th minute. We'll play till 1:05, take a break, and then play 15 minutes more. Here's Harper in behind Marco Farfan. Farfan got a touch on the ball, and he's conceded a corner here. Appeals for a goal kick, but
he doesn't believe so. He thinks that wanted off Harper. I think the referees may have got that one right, because it looked like Farfan got the last touch, probably off his body as he fell over the ball.
Corner coming from the near side.
Can't tell if that's off of Marco Farfan's arm or Harper's foot, but it's a corner nonetheless.
It'll be Forsberg with an outswinger. in towards the danger area. Abubakar meets it. And last touch was off of Nealis, and it'll be a goal kick for Dallas. And with the 3 center backs on the field, you feel good about defensive set pieces in particular, as Omar Valencia is up off the bench for Raheem Edwards, having recently picked up that yellow card.
Edwards very involved on both sides of the ball tonight. Got plenty of touches, plenty of fouls, and some good defensive work as well.
Valencia, the ready-made replacement, Panamanian international left back. 101st minute, Martin Paz sending it long off the goal kick. First header won by the Red Bulls. Fight for the second ball. Ka'ike retrieves it, but the whistle goes as Urguide had a fistful of jersey against Choupo-Moting there.
Well, this first 15-minute period of extra time has been about as stop-start as it gets. Number of fouls, a couple of corners, no real flow as you might expect in a game that has gone past 90 minutes with so much on the line.
Forsberg with a free kick from way out, lifts this one into the box towards the back post. Farfan gets ahead to it. Ramiro puts it behind for a corner, but the whistle goes. This time it's Nealis who committed the foul amongst the melee there.
Yeah, 2 arms in the back from Nealis on Marco Farfan. Another good spot from the referee, and yet another foul.
102nd minute. We've got 3 to go here in this first period of overtime.
Saying we're almost up to 40 combined fouls in this game. Like I said, start, and actually we are now past 40 fouls. We are 41 fouls, and after those 2 in the last minute or so.
Abubakar out to Ramiro. Finds Pomykal. Pomykal gets on the turn. A lot of space for Marco Farfan. Pomykal, though, just under hit that pass, and Farfan is beaten to it by Harper. Pomykal gets across, gets a foot on the ball.
He can't believe it again. Once again, he's being called for a very soft foul because it certainly looked like he got the ball.
Trying to atone for the mistake there on the pass.
He did a good job using his legs to get back in front. Yeah, and then maybe there is some contact on the leg, but not a ton once again.
90 seconds to go here in the first period of extra time. Red Bulls in possession, 2-2 your score. Late drama in regulation as a deflected free kick from Emil Forsberg gave the Red Bulls a lifeline. Lucho Acosta's second half goal, worthy of winning any game, unfortunately denied. Urguide with a left-footed clearance straight out of play. Nealis is going to ready a long throw here. Plenty of bodies forward. Hack joining from the back line for New York. Choupo-Moting the main target here as it's launched into the area. First contact by Hack of New York. Cleared away, and then Edelman puts it behind for a goal kick. I don't even know if I count that as a shot.
I think that was an attempt at perhaps a first-time cross or potentially even a first touch, but certainly got away from him there. Out for the Dallas throw, which Martin Paz, I would assume, would take his time with, approaching the end of the first period of extra time.
Eric Quill and Rodrigo Rios deep in conversation with the tactics board out right now. We're headed towards the break, and it'll be an important message for the head coaches to deliver to their respective sides. Just as much about tactics as motivation and digging deep in these late stages. Here's a ball in behind for Choupo-Moting. The flag goes up. Pretty clearly offside there against the Cameroon international, but a quick moment between the lines that if he had timed it better, Dallas might be trailing here in extra time. Or maybe Urguide would have fetched him. That tends to be how these things go.
Yeah, Wallace Abubakar looks like he was the deepest defender, but Choupo-Moting an extra yard ahead of him.
And that will do it for us here in the first half of extra time. still knotted up here, 2-2 at Sports Illustrated Stadium. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer here on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Paxton Palmacall, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Well, we are 15 minutes plus a potential penalty shootout away from deciding who will take their spot in the final 8 in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup in 2025. The final Dallas substitute onto the field looks like it's Pedrinho, and we will see who for in just a moment. Lucho Acosta and Logan Farrington still out there from an attacking perspective, so no matter who came off, it's an attacking move. Looks like Kayike replaced. Well, Pedrinho going to support Logan Farrington. He's hunting for a loose ball here. Bit of a loose pass. Edelman cleans it up for a teammate. And now going the other way, Carmona wide left. Cross swung in by Valencia. Pedrinho picks up the loose ball. Trying to put it out in front of Marco Farfan. Loose touch there from the young Brazilian. Ball into the 18 along the right side. Harper cuts it back, looking for Choupo-Moting. Trying to get turned. Choupo-Moting trying to find Valencia. And on the full retreat, Shaq Moore with a crucial intervention in the first minute of this second 15.
That's excellent defending from Shaq Moore, because he's the wrong side of Valencia for sure and had no chance of getting a block in. The only avenue to get that ball out was to sweep around Valencia's leg, and that's exactly what the American international did. And he does win the ball before making any contact. Very, very good defending in a very late stage moment.
Corner kick taken by Forsberg. Nobody makes contact. It bounces all the way through. Harper will retrieve it on the far side. Harper squared up with Uriguide, who makes the block straight up in the air and unable to keep it from going behind for a corner. Had an opportunity at it, but it would have been a difficult ball to deal with on the left foot.
Another set piece situation in this extra time. There's been very little soccer played so far. It's basically teams swapping set pieces, whether it be an out-of-bounds situation like this or for a foul. You know, it's been a very physical game, one that's been called quite tightly. Whoever defends set pieces better might be the victor at the end of this one.
Substitute recently on the field, Valencia will take this corner, an end swinger into the danger area, flicked on at the near post, but off target. Nealis with the touch. Sorry, Hack couldn't steer that one on frame.
Well, I just said whichever team defends set pieces better might win, and Dallas did not do a great job there, letting Alexander Hack, one of the tallest players, most dangerous players on set pieces for New York, get free on the near post, and certainly got to the ball before Martin Pass. And Martin was also coming out for the ball, so if that had been on target, anywhere on target, it would have been the Red Bulls in the lead.
Well, the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup ramps up over the coming weeks as the tournament's trophy comes into view. You can watch as this round's victors take their next step towards a title in the next round on CBS Sports and Paramount Plus. And you can watch the draw for the next round, which Dallas desperately hope to be in tomorrow morning on the Golazo Network, 9:30 Eastern Time, as the rest of the bracket is set. It's been a terrific night of action across the grounds in the Open Cup. Goals flying in everywhere. Nashville with a big upset on the road, 3-2 at Orlando. Minnesota holding off St. Louis 3-2 at home. New England fall to Chicago 3-1 at home. And there's a game in extra time alongside this one, DC and Charlotte at 3-3.
Plenty of goals tonight all around this round.
Pomykal fighting to keep this one alive. Gets it back from Farrington. Now spreads it out to Marco Farfan on the far side, waiting for support. Dropped off to Ramiro. Now wide left with Pedrinho. First chance for him to get into the attacking third. Pedrinho on the dribble. Looking to get to the byline. Last touch out off the Red Bulls, and he's won a corner. And set pieces, set pieces, set pieces. 109th minute of action in New Jersey. Pedrinho will take this corner kick. Dallas with 3 center backs in the game to aim at. Farrington as well at the near post. They go short here. Acosta back to Pedrinho. Gets it back to Ramiro. Back to Acosta, working something short. Now Acosta bending it in. Nice flight on the ball, looking for Farrington at the near post. Cleared away. Now a foot race between Valencia and Pomykal. Pomykal getting back in time. The Red Bulls player cuts back and sends a diagonal out to Choupo-Moting. Knocks it down into the path to Forsberg. Forsberg goes down, but Martin Paz picks up the ball. Forsberg beside himself. The whistle now goes late for a free kick right on the edge of the box.
And is it on the edge of the box is my question, because I'm really not sure who they're calling this on. If it's a defender, there's a good chance it could be a sending off for denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity.
The interesting thing in these moments is we're so used to having VAR. Whatever the referees decided here is what will stand.
Well, the card isn't out yet, so that's a good sign for FC Dallas.
It was a great knockdown header by Choupo-Moting. Ramiro, the last player back, got a light tug of the jersey from Forsberg, and it was clearly inside the box.
Is it though?
Oh, on the second look, he might have let go in time.
I think the contact is on the outside of the outside the box, but Ramiro's on a yellow card anyway. So regardless, that would be a yellow card for stopping an attack, let alone a denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. If I can get that right for a second time, I think Ramiro can count himself very, very lucky to still be on the field right now.
Well, Dallas minutes away from winning this game in regulation before Forsberg stepped up for a free kick.
From a similar spot as this one as well.
This one even closer to the edge of the 18. Although Acosta's mitigating here on behalf of Dallas, fighting for every inch. I think Dallas has gotten away with one here. Whether it's a penalty, at the very least, it should be a card.
Yeah, to me that's a free kick right outside the box in the center of the D, and a second yellow, if not a straight red for Ramiro. It wouldn't have mattered either way. It'd be a red card, and Dallas should be down to 10.
Ramiro's still out there, and Sandro Schwartz, understandably, I think, beside himself. But he's got Forsberg standing over a free kick, and that's profited once for the Red Bulls already tonight. Although the Swedish international needs to collect himself a little bit, still upset that the card never came out.
Very curious what what the referee is explaining to Forsberg here. I'm not quite sure what the explanation for no yellow card would be, but happy to be on the lucky side of things.
Once again, 5 players in the Dallas wall, 1 laying beneath it. Forsberg from just 18 yards away. A matter of inches outside the box. Dead center. Can pick his side here.
Interesting spot for a free kick. So close in, tough to get it up and down, and so central that you're not sure which side he's going to go to, and not sure which side Martin Paz wants to protect himself.
Oh, and belatedly, the card is now out for Ramiro.
I'm not sure how this could...
A straight red.
2 minutes after the foul was called, and there's no VAR in this, so I'm really, really curious as to the thought process behind this entire thing, because I think a red card is fair, but it should have been called immediately.
I mean, we got multiple shots of Sandro Schwartz screaming at the fourth official. I mean, it's just not how the game is officiated.
No.
I mean, if the fourth official took the petitioning from the Red Bulls bench and then had a word through the microphones with the referee, now leading to a Ramiro red card.
And he can't be looking at any replays to make a decision because there's no video assistant referee in this Open Cup. This is actually baffling refereeing on a number of levels here.
Ultimately, it's the right call.
It is.
And it's just absolutely the wrong process. I mean, also looking back at the moment, how Ramiro ended up being the furthest player back is one that the Dallas bench will have to negotiate later. Here's Forsberg on the free kick. Oh, Martin Pass denies the Swedish international. A huge moment for Pass here in this Open Cup tie. And now Dallas, with 10 players, are going to have to fight for a chance to give Martin Pass a chance to be the hero in spot kicks. Here's a ball lifted into the box. Ayla wins the first header. Martin Pass out off his line, clatters into Ibeagha, but holds on to it.
Two great moments for Martin Pass there. First, obviously, an eye-catching save to deny Emil Forsberg his second free kick goal of the night. And Pass watches it all the way. It's right at him, but it's hit with so much power. It's good reaction from Pass. Also able to parry it far out of the danger area, gets it all the way out of the box, and then the second one, a ball comes in into a really dangerous spot with a ton of bodies in the way. He's able to gather despite taking a good hit from his own defender in Sebastian Ibeagha.
Pass now launches it long. Dallas a player light. And Pomykal, really the only central midfielder in there. He's going to have a conversation, I think, probably with Pedrinho to sit a little bit further deep.
Well, this is Paxton Pomakal's third game back after 18 months out, having undergone knee surgery, of course. Welcome back. Now you're going to be playing in a game that's going all the way to 120 minutes, and you're also really the only natural midfielder left in the game. So welcome back, Paxton Pomakal.
Pedrinho down, holding his face, now has to quickly pick himself back up. Dallas haven't really made an adjustment to losing Ramiro. It's Valencia coming off the left side, ball into Forsberg, lifted up in the air, comfortable for Martin Pass.
It's interesting, Logan Farrington is actually tracking very, very far back from his striker position, almost alongside Pomakal when Dallas is defending there. I'm not sure if that is intentional, how long that will remain, but certainly it's an interesting spot to be in tactically with having made a lot of substitutions and only 5 minutes remaining and now reduced to 10 men.
The only unused substitute, Sikin Sabling, could come in and help you in midfield, but Dallas have exhausted all their windows, I believe. Tough to keep track of as these extra time games get late and substitutions on both sides. Harper bringing it forward for the Red Bulls, gives it away. Pedrinho on the dribble, dropped off for Pomakal, who just lifts it out of pressure only as far as Valencia. Finds Forsberg, whose influence is growing here. Dallas reduced to 10. Valencia to Ayla. Doncourt, first substitute back in regulation. I haven't called his name too often. Edelman, who's gone the distance, sets it back for Hack. Hack diagonal out to the far side. Harper brings it down outside the 18, closed down by Farfan. Chase back for Nealis. Dallas camped out inside their 18-yard box here. Cross swung in by Doncourt, headed away by Urquide. Acosta goes up to try and win it, and he's whistled for a foul. And this one probably outside of shooting range for Forsberg, but certainly a chance to get the ball in the box here in the 117th minute.
It is, and it's a bit of a misjudgment from Lucho Acosta, and I think it is a foul because he looks at the player, at Edelman there, before essentially running into him before an aerial challenge was going to happen. Acosta understanding that he was probably unlikely to win an aerial challenge, standing 5'3", but it's probably not the position on the field that you want to commit what is a needless foul in many ways.
Forsberg standing over it. No real wall for Dallas. They're expecting a service here. It is chipped towards the back post into the danger area. First header won by the Red Bulls, but cleared away by Abubakar. And this time Acosta Oh, he's whistled for a foul. It
goodness.
just wasn't, and it opened up for Pedrinho on the far side. Acosta with some sarcastic applause to the fourth official,
Eric
who's
Quill
clearly
furious as well.
The fourth official clearly having an outsized impact tonight. Luis Diego Arroyo.
The first one, and I said it at the time, was a foul from Lucho Acosta. This one was much, much less of one with very minimal contact to the body, and Dallas was going to be away 2v1.
Acosta frustrated, but he needs to pick himself back up and help the team defend here with 10. Pedrinho doing his defensive work, wins it back. Trying to find a teammate, but it's Hack who beats Paxton Pomykal to the ball. Now Ayla, but Pomykal stops him from chopping back and now launches it up the field towards Acosta, is the only man forward for Dallas. 118th minute.
At this point, you're wondering, I'm sure Dallas would be pretty okay with this going to penalties.
2 minutes plus what may be a considerable amount of stoppage time before that possibility. Harper takes a shot blocked by Uriguide. And Uriguide now on a dribble up the far side, running for the hills, running to try and maybe win a free kick or maybe go all alone. He skipped past 3 defenders here before taking a heavy touch and running into Ayla. And now he's got to get back, full sprint the other way. Dallas regained possession through Farfan, who finds Lucho Acosta out the far side, deflected out for a throw. And man, Osazi Uriguide, what a player.
It's something you don't see very often in the 119th minute of a cup game. Your center back running 60 yards with the ball past 4 defenders before eventually losing it to the opposition back line. That's partly why everyone around here loves Osazi Uriguide, because he does a little bit of everything, and he's just a fun defender to watch.
Farrington fighting for it near the corner flag, gets his body back in front. He's won the ball here. 3 defenders around him, no support, but he's won a throw. As we're into the 120th minute, and we'll await the fourth official's board to see how much more we'll play through that whole debacle in which Forsberg won a foul and Ramiro was sent off. Farfan takes the throw, gets it back from Acosta. Here is Lucho, who had the go-ahead goal in regulation. Now he's wrestled to the ground, and he's won a free kick, and here's a chance maybe for Dallas to win it.
Last chance saloon for Dallas. Interesting to see how many of their big body defenders get up into the box for this one.
But you'd think it depends on what the number from the fourth official is here.
He's got a chance to win it, but also if you get too many bodies forward, it could be a chance to lose it if the Red Bulls are able to counter.
3 minutes added on here. We'll play 123 tonight in Harrison, New Jersey. Acosta on the approach with a free kick, fights into the box towards Logan Farrington. That one blocked out off the Red Bulls. Oh, it's been given as a goal kick. I thought Farrington had a flicked header there, blocked out. And now Marcucci goes long, launching it ahead towards Forsberg. Header won by Pomykal. Back towards Choupo-Moting. Under pressure from Uriguide. 2.5 minutes to go. Both teams leaving everything out there right now. Edelman gets it back here centrally. Edelman going to step into a shot from distance, blocked by Uriguide, up into the air. Retrieved by Duncourt. And now Cam Harper. Harper down the line for Duncourt. Low cross swung in towards Choupo-Moting, towards the back post. Shaq Moore again, emergency defending as Choupo-Moting's shot became a nice setup ball for Valencia.
Second time Shaq Moore has defended Valencia excellently on that back post. Both of them were kind of awkward situations where he was on the wrong side, able to curl his foot around it and get the ball out for a corner here from Forsberg.
Forsberg here in extra time, stoppage time. Too much on that one, and Nealis couldn't get it back in play. Breaks for Duncourt, ball flighted in, and Martin Paas able to claim.
Martin Paas taking his time with the ball on the ground. I guess that might be an indication that he and Dallas would feel okay going to penalty kicks at this point, which has got to feel tough considering that Dallas was within 2 minutes from winning this game outright in 90 minutes if it weren't for an unfortunate free kick right at the end.
Paas launches it long. A minute from a potential PK shootout. Pomykal fighting forward in midfield. Carmona is opposite number 19, gets there first. And build up the right side for the Red Bulls. Carmona chops back onto his favorite left foot, lines up a shot from distance, and that one way over the bar. Second time that Carmona's been nowhere near the target.
Well, that's the first time Paxton Pomykal tracking back looked a little bit winded. You can understand why. Just his third sub appearance since the 18-month layoff, and he's done a lot more running than I think he anticipated. Now covering for a midfielder, his midfield partner in Ramiro, who just saw the red card a few moments ago.
Needs must survive and advance. That is the recipe in cup competitions. Dallas so close to winning it in regulation. A matter of seconds away from forcing a penalty shootout on the road. Haas launches it long in the final seconds of stoppage time. Looking for Farrington, flicked off of Hack, and nearly broke for Lucho Acosta. It's all the way back to Marcucci, who lifts it ahead. Uriguide wins the header, but that will do it. 120 minutes, players collapsing all across the field. A truly hard-fought effort here, forcing a penalty shootout, the first penalty shootout for Dallas since 2022. We will have that for you on the other side of this break. 2-2 your final score from Sports Illustrated Stadium. Penalties coming up next.
If you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here. UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
Hi everyone, it's Paxton Pomykal, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Well, we don't do this often around here. FC Dallas in a penalty shootout for a chance to advance to the quarterfinals of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. And Garrett, why don't you bring us the recent results for FC Dallas in kicks from the mark?
Yeah, this is off of my memory, so forgive me if I make any mistakes, but I'm thinking back. Dallas has won 2 of their last 3 shootouts, and it's in different competitions. Back in 2020, we beat Portland in Portland on penalties. Jimmy Maurer, the hero that night. And then in 2022, in the playoffs against Minnesota United here at Toyota Stadium, it was Alan Velasco scoring a Panenka to win. And then most recently, a loss to Miami in the 2023 Leagues Cup, a heartbreaking one after, was that a 4-4 in 90 minutes, I believe. And also, if you look a long-term, FC Dallas 5-1 in Open Cup shootouts.
The last time that they went to a shootout in Open Cup play was a part of their run to eventually lifting the trophy in 2016. That was at an early round at SMU against the OKC Energy. This is a very different venue. At the same situation, Martin Pass against his opposite number 1, AJ Marcucci, who's surely in the biggest moment of his professional career now, put into the spotlight as goalkeepers are. Martin Pass has faced a few penalties this year, yet to save one, but it seems like every single time he nearly gets a hand to it if he doesn't keep it out.
Well, thinking back, especially last season, he oftentimes makes the initial save, and then if it's in the run of play, they score off the rebound. Thankfully, no rebounds tonight, so that might bode well for Martin Paas, who is an excellent penalty stopper, especially off the initial shot.
Just had the coin toss between the two captains, Forsberg and Acosta, who certainly will be amongst the takers, you'd think. Looks like Choupo-Moting will go first for New York. Scored a couple of penalties so far for the Red Bulls in MLS play, 2 for 2.
And one thing to keep in mind, Martin Paas has a near photographic memory and absolutely does his research on penalty takers and where their preference to go is on which side.
Yeah, some goalkeepers use the water bottle, right? They have the notes ready to go out. He doesn't need that.
No need. Martin Paas, steel trap he's got.
The fans making their way across Sports Illustrated Stadium to set up behind the goal as Choupo-Moting's the first man to step up here from 12 yards. Cameroon international on the approach, rolls it to the right. Martin Paas going the wrong way. And the Red Bulls strike first in the shootout.
It's a good penalty from Choupo-Moting. Kept it low, kept it accurate, and hit it hard, pretty much side netting. Even if Martin Paas had guessed correctly, I don't know if you saved that one.
Yeah, and he had a little look up, didn't he? He sort of gave Martin the eyes, looking to the left and then going to the right. And now Dallas will have to respond in the first round of 5. AJ Marcucci, the 25-year-old goalkeeper, decked out in all purple, in goal for the Red Bulls against Lucho Acosta. The only player out there right now for Dallas who's taken a penalty in Major League Soccer, 17 converted out of 19 in his career. Here's Acosta on the approach, chips it down the middle, but oh, it's off the bar. Tried to go for the Panenka, and instead Dallas will have to fight from a deficit in the shootout, and the luck is just not on the side of the Burn tonight.
So unfortunate because he sits Marcucci down with the Panenka, but just gets a little too much on it, off the crossbar and out. And Eric Quill bows his head. That's a tough one. Tough break for Dallas, especially with your first kick taker and your captain being that close, but also that far away.
Acosta missed his only take for Dallas earlier in MLS play, now 0 for 2 as Ayla steps up for the Red Bulls. A young Swede steps to the left, and Martin Paas goes the right way, but can't keep it out as Ayla hits the net to make it 2-0 here.
Well, Noah Ayla showed great feet for center back multiple times during the game. Shows it again here, being the second player to step up, take a penalty, and he hits that one essentially perfectly. Hard, bottom corner, almost the same spot as his teammate Choupo-Moting, but with a little bit more power, and Martin Paas guessed correctly this time, still had very little chance to save it.
Next up will be Shaq Moore for FC Dallas, and they need one here from the U.S. international. Quick run up, and Shaq Moore slots that one home to make it 2-1.
Confident from Shaq Moore. Hit it low, hit it hard. It wasn't right in the corner, but he'd already sent Marcucci the wrong way.
Yeah, you can see he sort of feigns towards opening the hips and then just slams it back across body. Well taken.
Dallas needed that one too. Almost impossible to come back from 2-0 down. Now 2-1 with the Red Bulls taking their third kick.
Wiki Carmona, 22-year-old Venezuelan in his 5th season with the Red Bulls, now steps up, looking to make it 3-1. Martin Paas with other ideas. Stutter step run up for Carmona, and Martin Paas comes up with the goods. Makes the save and gives Dallas a chance to even things here in the shootout.
Well, Martin Paas is way too good of a penalty stopper not to save one in this shootout, and he steps up big time for Dallas. Diving to his right, reads the penalty, and to be fair, it's not a great penalty from Carmona. Not a lot of pace. I mean, and it's pretty central and at basically the perfect height for any goalkeeper, especially one as talented as Martin Paas, with as much lateral speed as Paas has. He was going to save that every day.
So now a chance to equalize in the third round. It's Logan Farrington who steps up, converted 2 penalties for FC Dallas in preseason, those without much pressure. Nothing like what he faces here. Farrington takes a deep breath on the approach and goes top corner. You can't take a better penalty than that.
Talk about confidence from the second-year forward. The man out of Oregon State, I mean, he just smashes that, hits the roof of the net.
Anytime you go high with a penalty, your heart is in your mouth. I mean, like what happened with Acosta a little bit ago.
And the confidence to see what happened to Acosta's penalty coming off the crossbar and to think, you know what, I'm still going to go for this, and also just hit it right under the crossbar, roof of the net.
And you wonder if that's a momentum swinger in the shootout. Poss makes the save. Farrington nearly breaks the net in the top corner. Now Edelman steps up. Started the night as the captain for the Red Bulls, the homegrown midfielder. Faces off with Martin Poss. Setter step for Edelman, and Poss goes the right way. Got a hand to it, but it somehow finds its way into the net. I was ready to erupt for another Martin Poss save. But Edelman doesn't exactly look too thrilled with his penalty, even though it was a good one.
Edelman with the big exhale, and he knows, I mean, that's because he knows how close Martin Poss was to saving this one. It's actually a very good penalty. He gets enough height on it, and that's what ultimately beats Martin Poss, who made the right decision, diving to his left, gets the big right arm up, but just enough height on Edelman's penalty to find the back of the net.
Now Marco Farfan steps up, needing to equalize for Dallas here. Dallas number 4, recently back from injury. Stutter step to the right, now on the approach, and he goes down the middle. And Marcucci dives out of the way. It's now 3-3 in the shootout.
We'll have to see it again, but I think Marcucci was very close to making this a kick save with his trailing foot. And yes, he was.
He waited as long as he could, didn't he? Marco Farfan outweights the young Red Bulls goalkeeper, and now we head into sudden death. The 5th round of penalties, not for the faint of heart. The rest of the way, it will be do or die. It's Emil Forsberg to step up against Martin Poss. Here's the Swedish international. He rolls it into the net as Martin Poss went the wrong way, and now the pressure swings to the Dallas end.
It's calm from the Red Bull captain.
That's the luxury, right, of having him go 5th.
Emil Forsberg.
Taking a few of those.
And it's interesting. I thought he was actually looking at Poss to see which direction he was going to dive. He didn't. And he just knew where he was going the whole time, but slotted it rather softly into the bottom corner.
And so now it's a must score for Dallas, and it's Pedrinho, who was perfect for North Texas SC a year ago. Stutter step run up for Pedrinho, and it's saved by Marcucci. And Dallas, for all the heart, all the fight, will exit the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup tonight in the round of 16.
And it's a tough one. You got to feel for a young player like Pedrinho to go 5th in a shootout with it all on the line. And he had that little interesting, kind of very slow stutter technique.
Yeah, as someone who watched him with North Texas last year, that was the technique he implemented. Went 3 for 3 last year for the second team. There's words between the two teams right now, and Lawless Abubakar ended amongst it. But ultimately, Dallas unable to find the luck, ultimately, is what it comes down to. And we'll talk about that. The luck and the heartbreaking nature of Cup soccer on the road in New Jersey tonight. We'll talk about it on the post-game show tonight. But thank you for joining us here through 120 minutes and penalties. It's the Red Bulls who advance after a 2-2 score through 120 minutes onto the round of 8 in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas. where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Dallas's away luck in the U.S. Open Cup remains not great as they bounce out in the round of 16 after 120-plus minutes and a 4-3 PK result as New York Red Bulls will advance to the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup tournament. Hello, everybody. It is the FC Dallas postgame show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you this evening by UMB Bank. See how UMB can help you achieve your business goals. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in just a moment by the voices of tonight's matchup, Ryan Figert and Garrett Melcer. But let's start with your post-game highlights. It started for Dallas very well in the 28th minute when the Abilene Dream opened the scoring.
It's Ka'ike, some space here in the center. Drop of the shoulder. Now finds Ramiro. First-time ball into the feet of Musa. Laid down for Kamungo. Kamungo inside the 18. Oh, he's got the opening goal. Bernard Kamungo in the Open Cup strikes once again.
Kamungo's second goal of the season, second in Open Cup play, made it 1-0 Dallas in the 28th minute. That was the score at halftime. Into the second half, it was Mohamed Sofo for the Red Bulls who made it 1-1 after just a crazy sequence in the box, allowed him to squirt one past Martin Paz. 1-1 all in the 63rd minute. But then 15 minutes later, it was a trademark piece of Lucho magic.
Bouncing towards the Dallas end, Abubakar sends it way clear, and Kamungo, great first touch, brings it out of the sky. Looks like a totally different player tonight.
I was going to say, where has this been? Where has this been?
Kamungo receives it from Pamacol. Acosta on the turn. Oh, that's magic. Lucho Acosta puts Dallas back in front. There's the Lucho magic in the Open Cup.
Lucho scores again, second time in as many Open Cup games, in a spectacular goal. That made it 2-1 FCD in the 78th minute. But it wasn't to be, as Dallas played almost every minute of stoppage time, but it was Emil Forsberg after a questionable foul call just outside the box, slides one past Martin Paz. That took it to 2-2, and we went to extra time. No scoring in that extra time, however, a big consequence for Dallas as Ramiro is sent off in the 110th minute for a dog-so red card. That put Dallas down a player, but it didn't matter as they end up going to penalties and losing 4-3. You had penalty scores for Dallas by Logan Farrington, Marco Farfan, and Shaq Moore. Misses for FCD by Lucho Acosta and Pedrinho. Let's bring you our stats of the postgame that are brought to you by UMB Bank. Possession goes the way of the Red Bulls, 61-39. 19 total shots for the Red Bulls, just 3 of those on target. 6 total shots for Dallas, 4 of those were on target. A very physical game, 25 fouls for the Red Bulls, 23 for FCD. We had 6 corners for the visitors, 6 corners for the home side, just 3 for the visitors. As we bring in the voices of tonight's contest, Ryan Figert and Garrett Melcer, there's a lot to talk about. We may have to save some of it for the FC Dallas agenda when we record this week, but I'll start with you, Ryan. Just give me your general feeling here as we sit after what has to be just a gut punch of a loss for Dallas.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, these are the margins of cup games. There's so much that goes into who comes away with the result, and a lot of it is the play from both sides, and some of it is just the rub of the green. I mean, the unfortunate nature of the goal Dallas concedes in second half stoppage time shouldn't have been a free kick. And then you have Forsberg standing over a free kick. You think, okay, maybe a moment of magic, and you'll tip your hat to him. But he puts it off target. It just happens to deflect off Ramiro and go in. And from there, Dallas, I think, controlled the first part of extra time well. Then you get the red card. Ultimately, the correct decision in a baffling way that it went about it. But ultimately, the correct decision. They play the final 10 minutes or so down a man, and the penalties. Lucho Acosta, chips it down the middle, got everything right in terms of the goalkeeper diving the other way, and on any other night it just sneaks under the crossbar, and it's a beautiful Paninka, and everyone's talking about how it was vintage Lucho in the Open Cup as it was on his goal. But just tonight it hits the crossbar, and eventually Pedrinho has a chance to extend the shootout but is unable to do so. It's just heartbreak tonight. There's a lot of positives, and I think we should talk through those because I think perspective is going to be important tonight. This is really it is disappointing, and there's no way around it. It's a crushing defeat and penalties, but it was a really stellar performance in terms of what you needed in a cup game to win it, and ultimately it just wasn't to be.
Garrett, your thoughts as well?
Oh, I'm dead inside, Sam. I'll be honest. That one really, really hurt.
Well, you got to start that way like me, and then it doesn't hurt as much.
I mean, losing in penalties is always going to be just terrible, especially to go out of a cup like that. But then for the way that it even went to extra time, because I just don't think that it was a foul. And I know we're complaining about referees, which is not always great to listen to. But
Steve Davis isn't here, so we can do it.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a foul. Paxton Pomykal, he won the ball, and then was it Raheem Edwards who kind of fell over his legs?
Yes, it was Raheem Edwards.
And so that's not Pomykal making contact. That's the other way around, so I don't see how it's a foul. And then the deflection that Ryan talked about, you wish it had just been a glorious free kick, and you say, wow, well, that's a very talented player scoring against you. What can you do? But instead it goes off the arm of a player who then goes on to get a red card later on. And that was a strange moment, too, because, I mean, first of all, it's the correct decision because it's at the very least a second yellow. I mean, it's probably a straight red for denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity from Ramiro on remind me who that was. That wasn't
Forsberg, yeah.
Forsberg running through. But the fact that the referee gave the foul outside the box, which was correct, but then let the players, argue about it for another 2 minutes and then set up the wall, and then to come back, maybe talk to the fourth official and then give the red card. That is not the correct process for refereeing. There's no VAR, so no one should have been looking at any replays. That should have been a straight red card on the field. So just a very strange scenario to begin with, but I guess at the end it ultimately was the right call. And then, just penalties, man. I mean, sometimes it's a lottery. Sometimes it's who's more composed, who has more stamina in their legs left, and just an unfortunate bounce of the ball off the crossbar on Lucho Acosta's. And then I do feel bad for Pedrinho because he's a young player who's coming into MLS for his first season. He's played quite well, especially off the bench. I thought he looked okay here off the bench tonight. Didn't really get too involved, but then to step up and be the fifth taker, that takes a lot of guts. It's just unfortunate that he didn't really put a lot behind it because it was quite an easy save for Marcucci.
Yeah, I want to bisect our post-game show because I think there's a lot of ways to approach it, but I think Ryan actually said it very well. Even in a loss, this is probably, if you're obviously putting aside the fact that it's crushing because you're out of a tournament, PKs, the actual event of it, I think you can make an argument that this is the best Dallas has probably played in a loss all season. At least, and I know that's kind of, grasping for a moral victory, but you look at just the straight 90 minutes before that foul. I mean, we had really good performances from Bernie Comungo. Lucho Acosta, had a fantastic goal. We saw the offense kind of cling to some actual patterns of play. The shots are still not coming there, but we'll talk about that in a little while. But just, Ryan, when it comes to what we were actually seeing on the pitch before that really weird free kick that ends up going in, I think you can say Dallas was playing one of its overall better games. And it really sucks that that's going to end up being a loss for them.
Yeah, I think there's a universe out there where the free kick isn't given or it doesn't deflect in, and I wish I lived in that universe because I think there would be so many positives that we could throw at this team, and I think we still should. I think it's our responsibility to give credit where credit's due for sure. I think you pointed out some of the key contributors tonight. I think Urquide was obviously another one, and pretty much to a man solid across the board. We talked about at halftime, Anderson Julio wasn't too involved. He eventually was subbed out. Paxton Pomykal making a great impact in his first real significant minutes. Marco Farfan looked like he was back to his best immediately after coming back from surgery.
Scores a penalty even.
Scored his penalty. I mean, there's a lot to take away from a positive standpoint. I think we should start with Bernard Comungo because he's the man of the match through 90 minutes for sure. He came off right before the New York equalizing goal and an assist for him. But from the first minute, I mean, he looked reborn tonight. It was remarkable to see him have such a clean first touch so often, so consistently, advance the ball up to Dallas left, which is such a problem for Dallas, particularly if you think to the Houston game. Sam, you showed me before the average positions where the Dallas players had touched the ball.
Not great.
There was no one on the left. There was literally not a single player past the halfway line on the left, and everybody was tilting inside. And so the fact that Comungo came in, he had gotten his goal in the last Open Cup round, but you still wouldn't have said he was really showing signs of returning to his best until tonight, and he really came from the first minute, helped Dallas get up the field, combined well with Lucho Acosta, had those incisive moments, scored the goal, got the assist. I mean, this is a huge sign, not just for tonight, but for Dallas moving forward.
That's the Bernard Kamungo that we all kind of thought he would be growing into after he broke out in 2023. Formation change last season made him play as a wing back, certainly not his best spot. And I think that sapped a ton of confidence because we just didn't see him shake that off. Even when he was put back into more natural positions by Peter Luxen later on in the year, he still looked shaky, even into this year, under a head coach that he knows really well, Eric Quill, who discovered him in the open tryout, who gave him his first chances at the pro level with North Texas. He still didn't look all that confident. He looked quite shaky. First touch wasn't clean. But to Eric Quill's credit, we're on hour 3.5 of broadcasting tonight. To Eric Quill's credit, he basically played him into form, and I hope it keeps going for Bernard because Dallas needs this type of player. And honestly, we all know Bernard's story, and I don't really want to go into that. But when he plays better, it's just a really special thing because of what he's been through and where he came from, and it's just great to see him play well. But yeah, seriously, credit to Eric Quill for believing in his guy in a tough situation where the team is not doing well. You kind of can expect a coach, especially a first-year head coach, to be like, I'm just going to put the guys who are playing their best so we can tread water. He said, no, I'm going back to the guy I believe in because I think he's got the upside, and even if he's not playing well, I trust him to become that guy, and tonight he was that guy.
So I'm curious, before we move on to other players, on Bernie specifically, we know that Eric has you play your way into this lineup, both in practice and on the field, and Kamungo's always been a well-practiced player, going back to when he played under Nico Estevez and Peter Luxen. I know this week is going to be kind of wonky because you've got 3 more games coming up in the span of about 10 days. But based on performance, if we take away just the magic of fatigue, does his performance tonight, plus combined with what his recent bench performances, earn him a spot going forward in the starting lineup?
Yeah, I think like you said, the next 3 games are coming in, every few days, and nobody's probably going to start all 3 besides potentially Martin Paz and maybe Osazi Urquidy. I think, Lucho's going to miss a game. I don't think anyone else is going to start all 3, except for maybe Shaq Moore because there's not another option out at right back. So I think everyone's going to be involved, but he's certainly moved his way up in terms of Eric Quill's thinking, although we know how highly he thinks of him in general. But in terms of his in the pecking order and his ability to get more consistent minutes, and Dallas need that extra winger, that to be playing well because Anderson Julio has been a hit as a signing. He's 4 goal contributions on the season. He won you a point against Salt Lake. He's been so good, but if you only have one winger, you're easy to game plan for, and if you can only go one way, then teams can build around shutting down that avenue. So having the ability to open things up and go both ways is going to be huge, and a lot of that is down to the wing play that you get from someone like Bernard.
So as we look here, kind of because there's a lot of strong performers. Garrett, I'm going to start with you. Obviously we've all raved about Bernie, but give me someone that, because there's a long list of players you can pick from that particularly stood out to you tonight. We'll kind of go around the room here.
Yeah, there were a lot of really strong performances. I think one that maybe wouldn't stand out so much is Kaique in the middle. It's hard to believe that he's just 19 because I think he plays with a ton of maturity, which, in his very first appearance, we were like, he was all running around, kind of looked like a lost puppy. Since then, I feel like he's just gone from strength to strength, and tonight he was really good. He's able to dribble out of the press, which not many players on this team is able to do. But his energy is so important in there, and his just athleticism is crucial because Ramiro next to him is a very smart player, and he's very good at communicating, and today he was excellent at moving the ball forward. He doesn't have the same athleticism. So counterattacks, which there were quite a few tonight, Kaique was huge on being that other guy to get back there with Shaq Moore and slow New York down. And then also I just loved watching him slide tackle everybody and anybody because that's what he does, and he almost always wins the ball doing it. And that's kind of a lost art in soccer, and he's bringing it back. And of course the tucked-in shirt as well. He's now that I think about it, he's a very much so a throwback player, and that's always enjoyable.
Yes,
I think
just
the
some
content
stats
teams
for him. 7 out of 9 on duels, 4 defensive actions, 5 recoveries, won all of his tackles, 57 total touches in 105 minutes. So I think the stats definitely back up his performance.
Yeah, I think the content needs to start tabbing whenever he does a slide tackle. Maybe we get a best of
all slide tackles
all the
compilation.
it's kind of like all the Michelle free kicks at the end of the year. Ryan, who was your
I can put that into the works for sure.
There you go. Who was your standout tonight that we haven't mentioned yet?
I think, maybe not for consistency over 120 minutes, but for the moment and for leading this team in the attack, it's Lucho Acosta for me. I think we've been asking for him to get back to, the levels that we saw at Cincinnati. And over the past few games, and particularly in MLS play, it just hasn't been there. It's been frustrating to watch. And tonight he was, back to his best. His goal should live on Open Cup highlight reels for a long time to come, even though it didn't end up being the winning goal, as close as it was to being, a goal worth winning any game. It should live on for a long time. He had the goal. He created a couple of chances. He wasn't as good on the dribble as he was against Houston when he was 6 out of 6, but he still completed a few dribbles and hit some decent long switches. He was involved defensively. 11 defensive actions for your number 10 is huge. Winning 3 out of 4 tackles and getting involved, 20 total duels. So he was involved more so than he has been in recent weeks, and particularly when Moose is in there, you think he feels more connected with the team because Moose is the focal point. Acosta's sort of moving off of him, and their ability to combine is huge for this team. And we've beaten that to death a little bit, but to get Musa back in the lineup, you've started to see the uptick in form from Lucho Acosta, and him getting a goal like that gave you so much belief that tonight was the night for Dallas. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, but the positive signs are there for Lucho going forward.
That piece of skill from Lucho to get him behind to score his goal. It's literally a backwards La Croqueta, like the skill move where you shift the ball from your right foot to from one foot to the other so quickly. Andres Iniesta is famous for it, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone do it facing the other way with the defenders behind him. That's magic in his feet. You don't teach that kind of thing. It's why FC Dallas brought him here, and we just want to see that and see it more often.
Yeah, I think to your point, Ryan, and this is something I had made a note of, it really felt like after weeks of saying we wish Lucho would run back a little bit more, would play a little bit more defense, it really looked like he was making a concerted effort to do it tonight. And I feel like if we, specifically I will call him out for not doing it, I need to give him credit for doing so. I was very happy with him. Was it every time? No, but it was much more consistent tonight. And hopefully that's a thing that maybe Eric Quill has gotten to his number 10 on.
Yeah, I think, obviously the stakes are higher in a knockout game, right? And so he's up for the game, and I think it's going to be about maintaining that level of commitment to helping the team defensively, because it was huge from a total defensive standpoint, particularly when you go on the road. You can't really carry any passengers against the ball, so he was definitely set up to be counted defensively, and so did Osaze Urguide, as we've come to expect from the man himself. 93% on his passing, 3 out of 4 successful dribbles. That's crazy for a center back. 4 out of 4 tackles won, 22 total defensive actions. He had a monster game, 11 duels won as well, just 9 lost. So, it's even in defeat, ultimately a draw that you lose in penalties. Osaze Urguide just continues to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, he was going to be my player because I just think that...
sorry for stealing it from
It's okay. You did exactly what I wanted to do, and you did it quicker than I did. So you're the king of efficiency, but boy, that signing looks like, between the Osaze signing and the Kaique signing, looks like it's chalking up to be a very big stock up winner for Andre Zanata and company, because they regardless of anything else, it looks like they've hit jackpots on those two. And if you hit on those two, that's a pretty good offseason right there.
And you want to build your team through the spine, and those guys are potential long-term pieces for this project right through the middle of the field, which now goes Paz, Urguide, Kaique, Acosta, Musa, and that's a very strong spine. So there's still work to be done, particularly in the summer window coming up, but those signings in particular have really hit.
So as we kind of look at the other side of things, because I think it was overall, a game of mixed bag, but there's plenty of positives that we've been going through. As we look at the other side of things, I got to go back to penalties. And look, Lucho Acosta is so good. We saw it tonight, literally Lucho magic. And I think you're right. In an alternate universe, that Panenka goes in and we're all celebrating how he's so good. But, man, you're the first penalty taker. Your team has been through 120 minutes. I got to question the wisdom of going so skill-oriented. Just, if you were 5, like Velasco a few years ago against Minnesota, yeah, you're the finishing move. You were dominating at that point. I wonder how everyone else feels. I just feel like, man, just put that in the corner and just get your make.
It's one of those where if it goes in off the underside of the bar, the rest of the shootout, the goalkeeper is second guessing himself.
He's on tilt, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a high risk, high reward in many ways, and I mean, think Zinedine Zidane did the exact same thing in the 2006 World Cup final, off the bottom of the crossbar and across the line, and then bounced out. But they counted, of course, a goal.
Right.
So it's just such fine margins. 1 inch lower, and it does that exact same thing. So I think it might be a little harsh to criticize him because the reward for that, if it does go in, goalkeeper is rooted to his line the rest of the time, or there's a good chance he is, and then it's a little bit easier for everyone. So I think it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, and the only data that we had immediately available for us was from regulation, not from shootouts, but 17 out of 21 in his career in Major League Soccer. I mean, that is a pretty high success rate, so I think I'll defer to him. I think, his sort of grin and grimace after it hit the crossbar says it all. He's so close to, the sort of thing that can, like Garrett said, put doubt in the back of the mind of the goalkeeper for the upcoming 4 takes, and give your team so much confidence that your guy just stepped up and just did that. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out. And it's just a margin that really went against Dallas tonight. And ultimately, for as good as they played through 89, 90 minutes, the luck just wasn't on their side.
Yeah, I fully admit I may be old man yelling at cloud on that one, and I think I am the oldest on this crew tonight. So I think that I do occupy. Somebody has to occupy that spot. I guess it'll be me. The other thing I'm curious about, we didn't talk about Ramiro a lot. We mentioned him in our game recap. He ends up on that really unfortunate wall jump that knocks in the second goal. He gets the deserved, albeit delayed, red card. And the question I have is that I think Quill does a very good job of adjusting in game. We've talked about that at large. I'm really curious. Did you think that Ramiro should have been the one to come out? Because you had, obviously, Paxton. You knew he was going to come in at some point. Of the options of either KK or Ramiro was carrying the yellow card already, and also KK's 12 years, 13 years younger than Ramiro. It feels like if somebody had the legs for 120, it would have been the pit bull. But also, I don't know. We don't know what's going on in that locker room. And I'm just, with the knowledge that we have, and obviously hindsight, was Paxton coming on for KK the right decision, or should it have been Ramiro?
I kind of thought it was going to be Ramiro. I mean, even before New York equalized with I think it was their first goal. He looked gassed.
Leggy,
he looked gassed. Yeah. He was out of position. The game was getting a bit more stretched than it had been in the first half, and like long sprints back. That's just not his. That's not his game right there. Of course, he looked tired. He looked leggy, and he was carrying a yellow card. So I really thought that when the change happened, it was almost guaranteed to be Paxton Palmacall in for Ramiro. But that's, Eric Quill, I guess, opted for the experience there, which you can understand. It's a really high-pressure game. Kaike's played all of, 8 professional games at this point or something like that, so you can understand where it came from. But Kaike I think that was his best game, or at least one of them. And yeah, he's like an absolute freak of an athlete, so I did think he'd be the one to stay out there.
Yeah, and then obviously you have to consider Seattle, coming up on Saturday. It's a quick turnaround to a 2 o'clock kickoff, and Ramiro sent off. That won't carry over to MLS play as far as I know. I think that's just for Open Cup. So he'll be available, but, he's got to be absolutely spent tonight. So maybe if there's one positive is that Kaike got off the field a little bit early, and he'll be ready to go because they're going to need him at Lumen Field.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's a lot of things you got to consider there. And to my knowledge, no, they won't carry over. Because I know you can get suspended in MLS and miss Open Cup, but to my knowledge, you can't get suspended at Open Cup and miss MLS.
We'll have to check. I don't think it can carry over either way, as far as I know.
Yeah, there's some weird rules about that, but I don't, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it's not possible. We talked a little bit about Paxton playing. He played darn near over an hour tonight with the factoring in the extra half hour plus of play. And at one point, we even saw him out on the wing, the throwback to the early 2020s. And I don't want it to see him there regularly, I don't think, ? But we've seen it before, Garrett, and Dallas is still looking for that kind of two-winger pairing. And again, they may just be a short-term thing, but it wasn't the worst thing we've ever seen.
No, Paxton's a very smart player, so he can play a number of positions. But yeah, I don't think this is going to be a long-term solution by any means. He's just better in the middle. But I mean, he did a good little cameo from him. He had a really great outlet ball to Shaq Moore that created a good chance for Dallas. I think Marcucci, that was the one where Marcucci made a double save on Musa, and then Kamungo.
And he got the second assist,
too. 75th
right?
minute on that.
Okay, so yeah, it's a good run out for Paxton. But I don't think long-term this will be much of a solution, especially now that Bernard Kamungo looks like the Bernard Kamungo of old, or Bernard Kamungo of young, whatever way you want to look at it. So I think we'll see him in the middle more often than not, especially as the games later on and we get in the season and becomes more fit to be that box-to-box guy who's doing a ton of running.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited to see Paxton and Ka'ike together in the middle if and when that, comes to fruition, because just the sheer amount of ground coverage between those two, immediately some of your concerns about, defending, are you defending a man light with Lucho not, doing all of the defensive running? Now it doesn't really matter. I mean, you've got two guys that can run for 3, maybe even for 4. So when Paxton and Ka'ike are in there as a midfield pairing, I'm going to be really excited to see that.
And if you want to even go to more of a 4-3-3 look, and you put on young Diego Garcia one day, assuming
then we got 7 lungs.
Cardio merchant.
Yeah,
you got 7 lungs between 3 guys there.
You could just do whatever you want up front. It's not going to matter. We haven't talked about this guy much, and I don't want to actually criticize him too much. I think Petar Musa, despite the fact he didn't score, had a really pretty good game. Obviously, strikers need to score goals, but he had an assist tonight on the first goal, and he also had some really good defensive work, specifically in the 87th minute. He had a very big clearance that ends up bailing Dallas out of a moment when they were really boxed in. And, obviously, Musa is here to score goals. He's here to get assists. But I really love to see a game like this where he really contributed in a lot of different ways and was able to come in and play, A, a lot of minutes, and B, get you an assist, and C, be a positive on defense. He's an all-around striker at this point. And, we don't give strikers enough. We give them all the you-know-what when they don't defend, but we don't give them enough credit when they do. So shout out to the Big Moose tonight who did a lot of good work on the defensive end.
Yeah, unfortunately, he also had, the sort of ball, heavy touch that went back into the middle for the first New York goal. But I think, obviously it's not his game, defending on the edge of his own box, but he was willing to sacrifice for the team. And later, in extra time, it came up huge. So a little bit of redemption for that. And I said it at halftime, I think his ability to combine unlocked Lucho more, it unlocked Bernie more, just having someone who you can just fire the ball into and understand that they're going to take it down, they're going to receive it, they're going to find the first touch pass that's required. It just is so huge for this Dallas offense right now as they're starting to build chemistry and we're starting to see signs of growth. A lot of it is around the Moose, of course.
Well, before we look ahead to what's going on Saturday and take down the open side on this one, do we have any final thoughts on what was probably going to be one of the wildest games of the year for FC Dallas, regardless of league or competition?
That's football for you right there. Sometimes it's not your day, and Dallas did everything they could. They fought tooth and nail. I want to take absolutely nothing away from the effort and the quality that they showed on the road in a stadium that they've never won. And it's just unfortunate that the shootout went the way it did. Martin Poss even coming up with a big save from 12 yards. But ultimately, sometimes it's just not your day. And I hope that Dallas in that locker room right now can find a way to pick themselves up and see the positives of what they've just done. They've fought and they've shown quality and they've scored 2 great goals on the road. I just hope that they can build from that and not get too down on what was ultimately a really unfortunate way to go on to lose the game.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe not so good.
Yeah,
I think that sums it up.
Yeah, sometimes maybe bleak, we'll put it that way. And I think that means Dallas is now 11 losses, 3 draws, and no wins at what is formerly Red Bull Arena. I think
good thing we don't go there anymore.
It really is. I mean, it's a nice stadium, but boy, it's cursed for FC Dallas. And it's a good thing as I pull up my schedule here that Dallas is not going to any other cursed arenas. Oh dear. Okay, so Dallas does not get a long break. They will get a break in July when they're not playing in Open Cup, though they'd rather have that game than not. But they get to go to Seattle next, where they have a lot of success at Lumen Field. They have more success at Lumen Field than they do at the former Red Bull Arena.
100% more.
Yeah, 100% more. 1 win against the Sounders. This is the return half of the Jesus Ferreira derby, assuming he starts, which if I've been reading Seattle box scores properly, is about 50-50, which, sorry, Seattle, we tried to tell you, but it's going to be an afternoon game, a 2 o'clock game locally at Lumen Field, meaning it'll be a noon in the Emerald City. So that means Dallas, the FC Dallas Radio Network will go live at 1:30 with pregame. I believe Steve Davis will be back for that one. And then we will have kickoff from Lumen Field at 2 o'clock. But that's going to do it for the post-game show. FC Dallas bounces out of the U.S. Open Cup round of 16. 2-2 draw, 4-3 on penalties. A wild, wild game up in New Jersey. For engineer Barry Walters, for Ryan Figert, for Garrett Melcer, I have been Sam Hale. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
The preceding broadcast has been a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wild at the world of WinStar.
In sports, if you